the zombie emperor in American comics. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story and all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 326 An Unintentional Result. Selene and Emma arrived at the Walmart where Mary worked. It was rush hour, and the store was bustling with people. The two women reached the baby section, but Mary wasn't there. Instead, they saw a clumsy man frantically selecting baby products, holding a crying baby. If Wang Yunxiao were there, she'd recognize him instantly. Wasn't it Mary's future husband, Lei, the man with a heart of gold? Furthermore, it seemed Mary and Lei weren't together yet. Lei was still a struggling public relations manager. Perhaps he wasn't even a public relations manager anymore? This scene amused Emma. Aspiring to be a successful principal, she also deeply loved children. Far from finding the baby's cries annoying, she felt a pity for them and strode over. "Can you help me?" Emma replied with a charming smile, reaching out to grab a package of diapers from the shelf and placing it in Lei's shopping cart. "Ah, thank you." Lei was stunned at first, then quickly expressed gratitude. "The baby's crying so pitifully. Where's his mother?" Emma, already captivated by the baby, casually asked. "We're divorced," Lei said with a helpless smile. "Oh, sorry. Can I hold the baby?" Emma apologized half-heartedly, but the more she looked at the baby's delicate appearance, the more adorable it seemed. She couldn't help but ask. "Oh, of course." Perhaps because Emma didn't seem like a bad person, Lei didn't hesitate and handed the baby to Emma. "Don't cry, be good." Emma held the baby carefully, teasing him softly. Giggle, giggle. Strangely enough, the moment Emma held the baby in her arms, the baby burst into laughter, looking even more adorable. "He's smiling. Sister Selene, look, he's smiling. So cute." Emma's heart melted, and she happily called out to Selene, wanting to share this joy with her. Unfortunately, Selene showed no interest in the baby, merely shrugging without any intention of approaching. "Why are you here?" Just then, a gruff voice echoed. Mary, dressed in a saleswoman's uniform, strode over, her gaze icy. "This is a supermarket, why can't we come?" Selene strode forward, shielding Emma behind her, and spoke calmly. For a moment, the tension between the two women reached a level that even Lei could sense. "Be good, little baby, and listen to your daddy." Emma coaxed the baby a few more times before returning him to Lei, a gentle smile plastered on her face, a stark contrast to the stern expressions of Selene and Mary. "Do you need help?" Lei glanced at Selene and Mary with a hint of surprise, then lowered his voice to Emma. It's undeniable that Mary's appearance left a bad impression on Lei. He wondered if this would affect their future. "It's okay, we just had a little disagreement. You can take the baby and leave." Emma smiled nonchalantly, but she didn't forget to warn Lei, who knew Mary's temper would be as volatile as Hancock's, prone to losing her temper regardless of the situation. "Oh, okay. Thank you." After all, Lei gave up. After all, he didn't know the relationship between the three women, but he still thanked Emma before leaving. Contrary to his impression of Mary, Emma left a very positive impression on him. And so, what could have been a love-at-first-sight encounter between Mary and Lei was inexplicably ruined by the presence of Mary and Lei. Mary never once glanced at Lei, and Lei's impression of her wasn't very favorable. It was unclear if they would ever be together again. If Wang Yunxiao knew this, he would definitely say to the two women, "Well done. Hey, why are you reacting so strongly? We're customers now, and customers are king. Don't you know that?" As Lei walked away with the baby in her arms, Emma immediately returned to her usual self, pouting coquettishly. "Where's that bastard?" Mary simply barked coldly. At the mention of Wang Yunxiao, her eyes blazed with fury. "Bastard?" Puff. Emma paused, then burst into laughter, not knowing what had occurred to her. "Oh? Why are you asking him?" With her womanly intuition, Selene sensed something, her expression shifting to amusement as she asked with a hint of meaning. "I'm going to kill that bastard," Mary blurted out without a second thought. Perhaps due to the situation, she didn't betray her true murderous intent. Or perhaps there was something else going on? "Hey, are you being reasonable? You're ready to kill at the drop of a hat." You and that Hancock guy are the same. I thought he was awful enough, resorting to violence at the slightest disagreement. It's truly disrespectful. You're no better, Emma grumbled, her voice etched with displeasure. Similarly, the mention of Hancock sent her into a rage. She held a grudge. Mary fell silent as Emma lashed out at Hancock. No one knew Hancock's wicked character better than she did. But she also knew why Hancock had become like this, and for a moment, her expression grew complex. Selene watched quietly, finding Mary increasingly intriguing. She must have had many interesting stories, both with Wang Yunxiao and with Hancock. Hey, why aren't you talking? Do you realize you're in the wrong? Let me tell you. Seeing Mary speechless, Emma perked up. If you're not buying anything, please leave and don't disturb me. Before Emma could finish her words, Mary waved her hand disinterestedly, then turned away, ignoring the two women and walking towards a customer. Huh? Why did she just leave like that? Emma muttered, her words choking back. Interesting. Selene gazed thoughtfully at Mary, who was introducing a pacifier to a female customer. What's interesting? Emma looked at Selene in confusion. Don't you think she's interesting? Selene asked instead of answering. No. On the contrary, I think she's very unreasonable. Emma curled her lips and complained disapprovingly. You'll know after we get along for a while. Selene smiled meaningfully. In the future, Emma's head was full of question marks. Thanks to Hot MSR and High for the guaranteed monthly ticket. 3 updates for today are here. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 327 Beautiful Scenery. Wang Yunxiao slept for 3 days and 3 nights. Unbeknownst to him, during those 3 days of his slumber, Selene and Emma had already become intimately involved with Mary. It's fair to say that friendships between women often arise unexpectedly. Of course, Selene also played a role. It was her deliberate approach that contributed to Mary's quick acceptance of them. But one thing is undeniable, Selene and Emma's strength was sufficient to earn Mary's approval, and this, after nearly a century of loneliness, brought back a sense of fellowship. Where are they? Where did they go? Wang Yunxiao wondered about the two women's absence. But this didn't faze him. With a single thought, he vanished from the bedroom. However, what followed was something Wang Yunxiao could never have anticipated. 3 beautiful women, each with their fair complexions and voluptuous figures, stood naked before him. But why 3? Bang! Wang Yunxiao was just thinking this when he felt a sharp pain in his chest and was flung forward like a cannonball. Ah, the punch was truly powerful. Wang Yunxiao couldn't tell how many walls he'd smashed through, and he could faintly hear the screams of women. Bang! Wang Yunxiao landed heavily on the busy street, causing passing cars to scramble out of the way and nearly causing another accident. What the hell? Wang Yunxiao staggered to his feet, ignoring the drivers who leaned their heads out of their windows and cursed. He felt his brain still wasn't working. The beautiful scenery just now was too unforgettable. If he hadn't been through so much, he would have burst into nosebleed right then and there. Whoosh! The next moment, Wang Yunxiao saw a figure flash before him, and the whole person was lifted into the air. The street scene shrank rapidly before him. It seemed as if he had been flung away. Damn it, Hancock said it again. I wonder how big a mess this time will be. But, that person just now didn't seem to be Hancock, did she? She looked like a woman. Don't be silly. Besides that bastard Hancock, who else could be as evil as him? As Wang Yunxiao flew away, he could still hear the chatter of passers-by. It seemed that Hancock had taken the blame for someone else's misfortune this time. Bang! Another sharp pain shot through his head, and Wang Yunxiao tumbled faster and faster, flying farther and farther away. Tisk, tisk, brother Yunxiao is in such a pity. Sister Mary won't really beat him to death, will she? Emma, clad in a bathrobe, watched Wang Yunxiao gradually become a small black dot from the huge floor-to-ceiling windows of the high-end beauty salon. Although she spoke words of concern, her smile clearly showed that she was gloating. Who knows? Maybe he'll enjoy it. Selene, also in a bathrobe, curled her lips in a rather unconcerned manner. Judging from her expression, she wasn't just worried about Wang Yunxiao, she was eager to join in and teach someone a lesson. It turned out that the 3 women had met today to relax at what was considered the most exclusive beauty salon in Los Angeles. Just as they were enjoying a relaxing soak in the hot springs and cleaning themselves, someone suddenly barged in, glaring at them like a pervert, his eyes nearly popping out of his head. Bang, bang, bang! Wang Yunxiao, knowing he was in the wrong, didn't shy away from the rain of punches, hoping to appease Mary's wrath. However, he forgot that women are known for their vindictive nature. Wang Yunxiao couldn't even remember how many punches he'd received, he only felt a burning pain all over his body, and Mary showed no sign of stopping. Seeing Mary's white fists getting closer and closer, Wang Yunxiao finally gave up the passive attack and vanished in an instant. "Hey, I told you that's enough. I've let you beat me up for so long, no matter how deep the grudge is, it should be over." Then, Wang Yunxiao's slightly annoyed voice rang out from behind Mary. "Even killing you won't ease the hatred in my heart," Mary roared, dodging and lunging at Wang Yunxiao again. "Crazy bitch," Wang Yunxiao muttered unconsciously as he hurriedly dodged. He didn't know if the curses he'd said that day had gotten out of hand. "Ah! I'm going to kill you," Mary was furious, chasing Wang Yunxiao like a madman. "I'm not playing with you anymore." Wang Yunxiao was truly helpless and teleported away. He couldn't possibly fight Mary again, could he? Although he could be passionate at times, he wasn't really a combat fanatic, especially not in such a senseless fight. He should avoid it whenever possible. "Oh, what's going on?" Wang Yunxiao shook his head and lamented, wandering aimlessly through the streets of Los Angeles. He didn't dare return to his hotel anytime soon. Who knew if an enraged Mary would come after him? But now he was truly curious about how these three women got together. Just as Wang Yunxiao was aimlessly wandering the streets of Los Angeles, Selene, Emma, and Mary reunited. "Where is he? That damn bastard. I'm going to kill him today," Mary demanded angrily upon meeting. "Sister Mary, calm down. Let's go back to the hotel. We'll help you teach Brother Yunxiao a lesson. He's really gone too far this time." As expected, Wang Yunxiao's concerns were wise. Emma smiled and sold him out. "Okay, let's go." Mary, furious, naturally agreed without a second thought. "It's no use. From what I know about him, he's hiding somewhere and definitely won't come back to the hotel," Selene said, grabbing the two women and angrily. "It's okay. I'll call Brother Yunxiao and ask him where he is," Emma volunteered before Mary could say anything. It was unclear what her motive was, she was so eager to see Wang Yunxiao suffer. "Hello," the phone only rang 3 times before Wang Yunxiao answered the call. "Brother Yunxiao, where are you now?" Emma asked sweetly, and at the same time, she gave Mary a calming look. "Why are you asking this?" Wang Yunxiao's vigilant words immediately came from the other end of the call. "You've pissed off Sister Mary and she's running away. If I want you to compensate us, just compensate us for shopping," Emma said coquettishly without any emotion. "I'm in the hotel, you guys come back first and talk later." After a brief silence, Wang Yunxiao's voice finally rang. "You're lying. Sister Selene said that you must not dare to go back to the hotel now." Emma immediately became dissatisfied. Wang Yunxiao laughed dryly twice. Although he did not deny it, he was determined not to tell where he was. "Please collect, recommend, and vote for me." Chapter 328 Fight. "I say, how did you get involved with that crazy, that woman?" Wang Yunxiao asked, slightly curious. He almost blurted out "crazy bitch." Luckily, he braked in time, or who knows what would have happened to Mary. Even so, Mary, on the other end of the line, was furious. She could hear what Wang Yunxiao was calling her in his mind. "What do you mean by mixed together? Brother Yunxiao, you're so rude. And don't you ever make Sister Mary angry? We're really good friends now, or we'll all deal with you together," Emma scolded with dissatisfaction. "You're exposed. I knew you were with that crazy bitch." Wang Yunxiao, convinced he had a plan, blurted out another slip of the tongue. "Asshole. Where are you? I'm going to kill you." As expected, Mary's furious roar echoed through the phone, and Wang Yunxiao quickly hung up. "Look at my foul mouth. I'm not going to be homeless tonight, am I?" Wang Yunxiao wanted to slap himself, but he also worried that Mary wouldn't turn on him. Fortunately, Wang Yunxiao's worries were unfounded. When he quietly returned to the hotel that night, he was delighted to find that Mary was not blocking the door. However, he was surprised to find that Selene and Emma had clearly sided with Mary. "Brother Yunxiao, you really have pissed off Sister Mary. No, you must apologize to her tomorrow," Emma declared righteously as soon as Wang Yunxiao appeared. "Yes, dear, I also think you need to apologize to Mary, otherwise it will affect our sisterly relationship," Selene said with a half-smile. "Sisters? Wait a minute, Can you tell me why your relationship has suddenly become so good? Wang Yunxiao frowned, quickly stopping the two women's rants and asking curiously. What's the big deal? Sister Mary is a very kind person. It's also pitiful, having been alone for nearly 100 years, Emma said without hesitation. Selene simply smiled and said nothing, but the glances she occasionally sent her way made Wang Yunxiao uneasy. Please tell me more details. Wang Yunxiao was speechless. This was the same as not saying anything, so he quickly reminded her. Okay, after we fell asleep that day, Sister Selene and I had Red Queen search for information on Sister Mary, and then Emma didn't hold back, excitedly recounting her story. Wang Yunxiao was completely bewildered after hearing Emma's story. He had only taken the initiative to visit Mary a few times, shared 2 meals, and gone shopping together, and yet their relationship had progressed so rapidly? Women are truly strange creatures. Oh, right. Brother Yunxiao, how could you treat Sister Mary like that? It's outrageous. How could I not have noticed earlier that you were so mean? Then, Emma, remembering something, righteously accused Wang Yunxiao again. Isn't he always like this? His true nature is revealed when he sees a beautiful woman, huh? Selene's sneer echoed in her laughter. It was just a misunderstanding. I had no choice, Wang Yunxiao hurriedly explained. However, even he couldn't bear to hear his explanation. No. You must apologize to Sister Mary tomorrow, Emma snorted, insisting without question. Okay, I'll go. After a brief silence, Wang Yunxiao reluctantly agreed. But in reality, this was all a deliberate act, intended to avoid the suspicions of the two women. From Emma's account, Wang Yunxiao also understood that Mary hadn't yet gotten together with Lei, the man with the heart of a saint. Although he didn't know it, all this was the unintentional result of the two women's actions. Furthermore, the thought of that indescribable beauty made Wang Yunxiao's heart flutter. It seemed that embracing Supergirl would be a truly wonderful thing. Great. It's settled, Emma cheered, without a doubt about Wang Yunxiao's ulterior motives. But Selene couldn't hide this. In truth, she had a vague premonition the moment she met Mary, and now it was merely confirmed. Under Selene's thoughtful gaze, Wang Yunxiao's heart broke out in a cold sweat, and he quickly responded with a flattering smile. Fortunately, Selene had never paid much attention to Wang Yunxiao's philandering, nor had she objected to a strong woman like Mary joining their family. Seeing such thoughtfulness from a beautiful woman, Wang Yunxiao naturally wanted to set an example and reward her well. Tonight was destined to be another sleepless night. The next morning, Wang Yunxiao, Selene, and Emma arrived at a Walmart where Mary worked. In the infant and toddler section, Mary, who had been wearing a professional smile, suddenly changed color the moment she saw Wang Yunxiao. Hey, this is your workplace, don't mess around, Wang Yunxiao, startled, quickly warned. Mary remained silent, simply staring at Wang Yunxiao expressionlessly. Ahem, well, I'm here to apologize today, Wang Yunxiao coughed twice, slightly awkwardly, trying to sound sincere. No need to say anything, let me beat you up again, Mary suddenly interrupted Wang Yunxiao, coldly saying. That's impossible, Wang Yunxiao refused without a second thought. He wasn't one to be masochistic, getting beaten up for no reason was out of the question. Well, there might be some misunderstanding between us, but there's no need. Then, Wang Yunxiao remembered the purpose of his visit and quickly softened his tone. Misunderstanding? You think all those despicable things you did were just a misunderstanding? Mary interrupted Wang Yunxiao again, sneering. Wang Yunxiao was choked and speechless. Thinking about what he had done, it was indeed not something that could be dismissed as a misunderstanding. How about I join you in another good fight? After thinking for a moment, Wang Yunxiao asked tentatively. After all, it was just a way to vent, so maybe, it could help Mary calm down? But let's make it clear in advance that I will definitely not go without fighting back. At most, I won't use my special ability and transform into the complete body of the Zombie King, Wang Yunxiao added immediately. But when he thought of Mary, who was wrapped in lightning, it seemed that it would make no difference if she got beaten too. He would fight hard. To please the beauty, what would it matter if he got beaten? It's not like he hasn't been beaten before. Well, in order to win the beauty, Wang Yunxiao could only comfort himself like this. Okay, Mary finally smiled. But why did Wang Yunxiao see traces of hideousness in her eyes? Was it just an illusion? Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 329 The Painful Price. It seemed Wang Yunxiao had no way of avoiding this beating. Go to hell, Mary cried out, the lightning swirling around her surging. In an instant, she was in front of Wang Yunxiao, swinging a punch straight at his face. Although he couldn't use his special abilities, Wang Yunxiao wouldn't passively take a beating. He didn't want to fight Mary head-on, that would be asking for trouble. He dodged quickly. Mary, hot on his heels, struck again, her strikes relentlessly. Wang Yunxiao dodged again, but he could dodge Mary's second punch, then her third. Could he keep dodging? Mary's speed was already comparable to Wang Yunxiao's, and now, swirling with lightning, her speed skyrocketed, leaving Wang Yunxiao far behind. As expected, Mary's attacks continued, a barrage of fist shadows raining down from the sky, trapping Wang Yunxiao from all sides and leaving him with less and less room to dodge. Finally, Wang Yunxiao could no longer avoid the blow, leaving him with no choice but to take it head-on. Bang! Two fists, one large and one small, collided fiercely. Lightning leaped and surged from the smaller, white fist, while the other fist instantly became charred, and even a faint aroma of meat wafted through the air. While Wang Yunxiao's powerful healing and regenerative abilities allowed him to recover from the injury in a flash, the pain was certainly not pleasant. Especially since the lightning had intensified his nerves, the pain was exacerbated. Bang, 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 the fierce collisions continued, and the excruciating pain washed over Wang Yunxiao like waves. At this point, Wang Yunxiao no longer cared about embarrassment. Besides, this wasn't the first time. He simply wanted to let out the excruciating pain, even if it was just a small amount. Tisk, tisk, that's tragic. Is Brother Yunxiao okay? On the yacht, Emma watched in amazement, a touch of worry building. Well, at least she had some conscience. It's okay, Brother Yunxiao's always been tough. Come on, Sister Mary, let him be so bad. But then, even before Selene could offer any reassurance, she found a compelling excuse and loudly cheered Mary on. Hey, Selene was so amused by the scene that she couldn't help but giggle. As for worrying about Wang Yunxiao? Not even a little bit. She knew full well how strong Wang Yunxiao's physique was and how resilient he was. Even at that moment, despite the excruciating pain, Wang Yunxiao still felt a burning hatred for Emma's, adding fuel to the fire. She was determined to give her a taste of her own medicine tonight. Mary unleashed her fury with unbridled abandon, showing no sign of holding back. Wang Yunxiao could only fend for himself, desperately trying to block. He couldn't let Mary's punches land on him, could he? He was convinced that the pain would be exponentially worse than what he was experiencing now. Mary, on the other hand, now felt that Wang Yunxiao's stubborn resistance was quite impressive. What was the point of hitting a punching bag? Unlike now, the more stubborn Wang Yunxiao's resistance, the more satisfying it was for her, giving her a better outlet for her rage. Time ticked by, and Wang Yunxiao had long forgotten how much time had passed. To him, every minute and every second felt like a century. Furthermore, as his body was constantly assaulted by the force of lightning, Wang Yunxiao, though not yet suffering any substantial damage, was already experiencing subtle signs of spasms, a warning that was even more ominous. However, before Wang Yunxiao could formulate a response, the very thing he feared had already occurred. A slight spasm slowed his movements for a moment. Though it was only a brief moment, for someone as powerful as him and Mary, it was enough. Bang! Mary's fist, laced with lightning, landed firmly on Wang Yunxiao's lower abdomen. Fortunately, it was only his lower abdomen. If it had been just a little lower, the consequences would have been disastrous. Wang Yunxiao cried out miserably, his body curling up like a shrimp before plummeting to the surface like a cannonball. Boom! Amidst the surging waves, Wang Yunxiao sank directly into the deep sea, roiling the surface even more violently. Sensing that Mary wasn't pursuing him, Wang Yunxiao breathed a sigh of relief, but decisively chose to give in, refusing to surface. He continued to flee, swiftly escaping the depths of the sea. Of course, Mary wouldn't pursue Wang Yunxiao in the sea, she had experienced this before. As for withdrawing the lightning power, wouldn't it mean she'd lost her current advantage? Who knows who would vent her anger then? What a bastard! After waiting for a long time, Wang Yunxiao still didn't surface. Mary knew he'd escaped, and she couldn't help but spit softly, but a bright smile spread across her face. Perhaps, There's still a little bit of resentment in her heart, but today has made her very happy. Huh? Why hasn't Brother Yunxiao come out yet? Is there something wrong on the yacht? Emma couldn't help but ask worriedly. It's not just because she is too concerned, but she really didn't expect that Wang Yunxiao would choose to give in. This is very different from the strong and brave image of Wang Yunxiao in her mind. Okay, don't worry, that bad guy has already escaped to somewhere unknown. Selene understood Wang Yunxiao and pointed out the essence of the matter in one sentence. No way. Emma turned her head to look at Selene with a smile. What do you think? Selene shrugged and asked unhappily. Emma was completely speechless. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 330 The Feelings of the Two Girls. After escaping far away, Wang Yunxiao no longer hesitated and teleported directly back to the hotel, collapsing on the soft bed. He needed to relax. It wasn't until late at night that Selene and Emma finally returned to the hotel. Mary must have been in a good mood today, having dragged the two girls along to play with her so late. Brother Yunxiao, you're really going too far. You actually ran away halfway. Thankfully, Sister Mary was magnanimous and didn't argue with you. Emma couldn't help but complain upon seeing Wang Yunxiao. Genius? Wang Yunxiao stared at Emma in disbelief, wondering if he had misheard. Of course. You promised Sister Mary you'd have a good fight with her, and you ran away halfway, Emma said matter-of-factly. Is that a good fight? I'm just going to take the beating, okay. Wang Yunxiao raised an eyebrow and muttered to himself. He finally understood. He didn't know what kind of magic Mary had tricked the two girls into giving her a good fight. This heartless little girl had completely rebelled. My dear, are you happy to see me being beaten? The more he thought about it, the more indignant he became. Wang Yunxiao asked the two girls with a half-smile. No. How could that be? Emma immediately felt that something was wrong in the atmosphere. She explained in a panic while retreating without leaving a trace. The next moment, Emma screamed in surprise. Wang Yunxiao had already grabbed her and pressed her down fiercely. Brother Yunxiao, I was wrong. Can you let me go? Emma said pitifully with a flushed face. And you, Wang Yunxiao would not be fooled by Emma so easily. He ignored her for the time being. She couldn't escape anyway. He cast a bad look at Selene again. Oh? You are angry with others, and you come back to use us as a punching bag. How could Selene be afraid of this? She puffed out her proud chest and said provocatively with a charming smile. Hey, aren't you two good sisters? Wang Yunxiao sneered, even using special energy to instantly capture Selene. Sister Selene, what should we do? Seeing she couldn't fool Wang Yunxiao anymore, Emma pitifully asked Selene, who was also pinned down by Wang Yunxiao. Of course, it was mostly just an act, just some little flirtation between a man and a woman. Don't be afraid of him. Let's team up to give him a taste of his own medicine tonight. Woo. Didn't you say you were going to make me look bad? Wang Yunxiao said with a half-smile. Don't be so ungrateful, okay? Selene pinched Wang Yunxiao angrily, her eyes subtly glancing to the other side. There, Emma slept soundly, her exposed skin a delicate pink. This is what happens to traitors. Hey, Wang Yunxiao chuckled with a hint of smugness. Traitor? Are you sure? You heartless villain. Who are we doing this for? Hearing this, Selene became even more indignant and pinched Wang Yunxiao several more times. Wang Yunxiao was a little confused, and for a moment, he couldn't understand Selene's meaning. What? You think I can't see that you've been targeting her for a long time? Otherwise, why would you treat her like that on the first day you met? Selene said angrily. On this point, Selene really wronged Wang Yunxiao. Although he was a playboy, he had his limits. How could he possibly have set his sights on a married woman? At that time, he'd assumed Mary and Lei were already together, and he hadn't harbored any other thoughts towards her. But Wang Yunxiao didn't object, choosing instead to remain silent. Who could have truly set his sights on Mary now? Besides, such matters were difficult to explain, so it was better not to explain at all. Admit it? Don't you think about why we're friendly with Mary? If it weren't for us, would you have been able to gain her forgiveness so quickly? Selene grew increasingly angry as she spoke, her delicate hands crawling over Wang Yunxiao's soft flesh again, ready to strike back. My dear, I was wrong. I sincerely apologize. Wang Yunxiao quickly grasped Selene's hand, admitting his fault with a very respectful attitude. HMPH, Selene snorted, feigning annoyance and turning her head away. "My dear, don't be angry. To express my sincere apology, let me help you bathe," Wang Yunxiao said with a grin, lifting Selene into a hug. "Ah," Selene gasped, slapping Wang Yunxiao coquettishly. She knew what was coming. That day, the three of them didn't leave the hotel until the sun was setting. Their destination, of course, was the Walmart where Mary worked. It wasn't Wang Yunxiao's initiative. The two women had already agreed with Mary the day before to have dinner together. When the three of them arrived at the Walmart, Mary had just finished get off work. Mary wasn't as excited as she had been the day before about Wang Yunxiao's brazenness, but she completely ignored him, not speaking to him a single word throughout dinner. Wang Yunxiao, incredibly thick-skinned, didn't take it personally, yet he didn't initiate any conversation with Mary, knowing full well that impatient behavior can lead to failure. In the days that followed, Wang Yunxiao's shamelessness was taken to its extremes, always following the three women around, happily acting as a bag-carrying assistant. After all, hard work pays off. Wang Yunxiao and Mary's relationship has finally improved somewhat. While they're not yet on the level of a full-time conversation, Mary no longer treats him like a shadowy figure, and normal communication is now possible. As long as there's progress, Wang Yunxiao is happy. As for slow progress, he doesn't mind that at all. He's prepared for a long-term battle. Meanwhile, something else has occurred that has bothered Wang Yunxiao: Lei's repeated appearances with his baby. While Mary doesn't seem to have warmed to Lei, and Lei's attitude towards Mary is rather cold, even less enthusiastic than towards Emma, who knows? Perhaps one day, they'll suddenly fall in love? After all, plot inertia is incredibly powerful. Thanks to the ever-popular MSR for their guaranteed monthly pass. 4 updates are up today. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331: Stumbling Block. Wang Yunxiao was genuinely concerned about Lei and his baby's frequent appearances before Mary, even considering whether to take action. Wang Yunxiao understood better than anyone how the inertia of plot twists could often be terrifying. Of course, Wang Yunxiao didn't bother to actually do anything to Lei. While he wasn't a good person, he wasn't a murderer either. At most, he would send him away from Los Angeles and give him enough money to live on. Just as Wang Yunxiao was still deciding whether to take action, Selene saw something was up. Her mind and observation were always sharp. Today, Lei once again appeared in the sight of several people with his baby, and Selene quietly called Wang Yunxiao aside. "What's wrong?" Wang Yunxiao asked, puzzled, glancing at Lei from time to time to avoid any unforeseen circumstances. "You're the one with a problem, right? Tell me, why are you so concerned about that man?" Selene rolled her eyes at Wang Yunxiao and asked with amusement. Wang Yunxiao was momentarily speechless. How could he possibly say this? Selene didn't press him, merely watching every expression on Wang Yunxiao's face without blinking. "Is it obvious?" Wang Yunxiao asked, slightly embarrassed. "What do you think?" Selene replied with a half-smile. "Okay, let me tell you. You know, Mary has a very gentle personality." Wang Yunxiao's mind raced, trying to come up with a plausible excuse. Meanwhile, his mouth was busy, but even the first words he uttered felt insincere. Think about it, Mary, clad in lightning armor, so majestic she looked like a goddess of war, could actually be called gentle? Puff. As expected, Selene couldn't bear to hear it anymore and burst out laughing. "Perhaps I didn't put it well enough. Then I'll rephrase it. I should say Mary has a very kind heart." At this point, Wang Yunxiao paused deliberately. "I'm worried. There's always this man like this, with a baby, constantly hanging around her. What if..." Seeing Selene stop laughing, Wang Yunxiao continued, but he stopped mid-sentence. "Well, that was a lame excuse. If Mary were to fall in love with any random man with a baby, she'd be in love with who knows how many people she'd be in love with by now. But why, in the original storyline, did Mary end up with Lei? Could it really be because he had a heart of gold?" Wang Yunxiao couldn't comprehend it, and could only chalk it all up to the sheer force of plot inertia. "Are you worried he'll become a rival?" Regardless, Selene understood Wang Yunxiao's meaning, but her tone was off. Okay, I'll take care of this for you. But remember, you owe me one more. Immediately, without waiting for Wang Yunxiao to say anything, Selene walked away. Wang Yunxiao shrugged with a hint of resignation and hurried after them, yet he breathed a sigh of relief. He firmly believed that with Selene's psychic abilities, dealing with Lei, a mere ordinary being, would be easy. Previously, Wang Yunxiao had considered asking Selene for help, but the potential consequences had deterred him. But now that Selene had offered, not even giving him a chance to refuse, he reluctantly agreed. As for Emma, who also possessed psychic abilities, the matter was best left unaddressed. Wang Yunxiao didn't even consider it, lest he jeopardize the image she held of him as a dignified and noble being. Unbeknownst to Wang Yunxiao, Emma's image of him had long since been eroded. Selene's actions were reassuring indeed. Soon, Lei hurried away with his baby. Even Wang Yunxiao didn't notice when she intervened. Did she even intervene? However, a subtle, yet subtle, glance from Selene made it clear to Wang Yunxiao that from today on, Lei would no longer appear before Mary's eyes. Just as Wang Yunxiao was secretly delighted after Selene had dealt with Lei, he tragically discovered that Lei wasn't even the biggest obstacle standing between him and Mary. Lately, for some unknown reason, serious crimes have been occurring in Los Angeles. It's hard to deny that this is all due to Hancock's unwavering integrity. And Hancock hasn't disappointed the people of Los Angeles. After a long period of inaction, he's finally stirring things up again. True to his usual style, these heinous crimes are easily solved thanks to him. It's also because of him that the scope and devastation caused are unimaginable. Of course, even if Hancock were to poke a hole in the sky, it wouldn't be Wang Yunxiao's business. But what bothered him was that whenever Hancock appeared on the news, Mary would lose herself in a trance. Wang Yunxiao knew full well that feelings woven through centuries of love couldn't be forgotten. Furthermore, Mary's original intention to leave Hancock was ultimately driven by love. But precisely because of this clarity, Wang Yunxiao felt the situation was incredibly drastic. He struggled to come up with a suitable solution in the short term. Not only had Wang Yunxiao noticed Mary's unusual behavior, but Selene and Emma had as well. "Sister Mary, why are you so preoccupied with that rude, nasty guy?" Emma asked softly during dinner that day, overcome with curiosity. "Is it that obvious?" Mary acquiesced without a trace of veneer. "Yes, every time he appears in the news, you're transfixed," Emma nodded earnestly. "He's my husband," Mary said, her words audaciously shocking. "What?" Emma gasped in disbelief, her eyes widening. Even Selene was surprised. Although she had long suspected that there must be something going on between Mary and Hancock, she hadn't expected it to be this way. Only Wang Yunxiao wasn't overly surprised by Mary's startling words. But outwardly, he still had to pretend. "Come to think of it, we were husband and wife for thousands of years," Mary sighed softly, her eyes glancing out a window, a complex expression flickering in the depths of her eyes. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 332 The Second Girl's Persuasion. Well, Emma's curiosity was piqued, but she hesitated, considering it was too personal for Mary, perhaps even a less than pleasant memory. She wanted to ask, but wasn't sure if she should. "You mean why we broke up?" Mary recalled, jokingly puncturing Emma's nagging thoughts. "Sorry," Emma smiled apologetically. "It's okay." Mary, however, didn't seem to mind. Honestly, as long as she wasn't provoked, she was usually quite easy to talk to. It was 80 years ago. We were living in Miami at the time. I remember the movie Frankenstein was playing in town. After the movie, we were walking home along Flagler Avenue when we were attacked. He was badly injured trying to protect me. Then, without giving Emma time to ponder, Mary began to reminisce. How is that possible? This time, it was Selene who spoke. She couldn't believe that anyone in this world could stand up to Mary and Hancock. Even if it were Wang Yunxiao, facing both of them simultaneously, he wouldn't have gained any advantage, right? Our race is like this. We're born as pairs, but when we get close, we lose all our superpowers and become ordinary people. Otherwise, there wouldn't be only the two of us left, Mary said with a wry smile. Upon hearing this, Selene and Emma looked at each other in amazement, unable to believe that such a bizarre race existed in this world. "I thought this would be a good thing for us, with our infinite lifespans. We could live mortal lives, love, marry, grow old together, and die together," Mary said quietly, ignoring the two women's surprise. An infinite lifespan wouldn't necessarily be worse than being mortal, otherwise there wouldn't be so many people desperately pursuing immortality. Mary, I have to admit, your thinking is a bit extreme. Selene disagreed with Mary's idea, saying that everyone has different opinions. But regardless, Selene had the right to say so. After all, she had existed longer than Mary, tens of millions of years. Yes, Mary sighed softly, her smile growing increasingly bitter. Selene's words didn't surprise her. Over their time together, the three women had come to understand each other well enough. Even Selena and Emma hadn't concealed the fact that they and Wang Yunxiao came from another dimension. It was precisely because of this that the relationship between the three women blossomed so rapidly. When I could only watch him die before my eyes, that's when I truly regretted it. Then, I discovered he'd lost his memories, so I left him. I never wanted to see him get hurt because of me again. Even as she finished her recollection, the sadness on Mary's face refused to fade. It's all in the past, Sister Mary. Your choice wasn't wrong. It's good for you and that guy, Emma said softly. Yes, we still have to move on. Aren't you all doing well now? Selene offered soft words of advice. Don't worry, I'm fine. He's doing well and helping so many people, and that's enough. He's born different from the rest of us, he's a hero. So, let him continue to protect the world. Mary smiled, signaling that she was fine. But anyone could see the forced bitterness hidden in her smile. Him? Saving the world? I think he's just destroying things. Emma curled her lips in disapproval. That's true, haha, Mary laughed, knowing Emma was saying it deliberately, just to cheer herself up. At that moment, Mary's heart warmed. This feeling of care was something she hadn't felt in a long time. And she truly recognized the two women. Mary, since you've decided to leave him, why are you still living in the same city with him? If not, I'm sure you could have started a new life long ago. After thinking for a moment, Selene continued to persuade. You think I don't want to? Mary rolled her eyes and replied sullenly. Of course, she knew Selene also meant well. Well, she probably didn't know Selene well enough, otherwise she wouldn't have such thoughts. Perhaps Selene's words were meant to be a friendly admonition to Mary, but wasn't she also testing the waters for Wang Yunxiao? Oh? What does that mean? Selene asked curiously. Perhaps you don't know, but we're destined to be attracted to each other. No matter where I go, he always follows me. Persia, Greece, Brooklyn. We're like the two poles of a magnet, destined to be entangled forever. Mary smiled bitterly again, feeling truly helpless when she spoke of this. Then why don't you just leave this world with us? You know, we come from two different worlds. Selene had already had a vague suspicion about what Mary was saying, just to get her to say it, so she could persuade her to leave with the three of them. Without Hancock, Wang Yunxiao believed that with his various ways of pleasing women, winning Mary's heart wouldn't be a big problem. Yes, Sister Mary, come with us. I just don't believe that guy can still chase us to our world, Emma advised cheerfully. Compared to Selene, she was less preoccupied, genuinely concerned for Mary's sake. Well, let me think about it. Mary frowned slightly, hesitant, but she didn't refuse outright. Seeing this, Wang Yunxiao couldn't help but feel delighted. Since Mary hadn't refused outright, it meant she was also somewhat tempted, and this was very possible. But he didn't say anything, because he knew that intruding on the conversation between the three women would be extremely inappropriate and might even backfire. This was why he had remained silent and invisible throughout the night. That's right, this is no small matter after all. You should think it over carefully, Selene said, understandingly, knowing the difference between overdoing and underdoing. It seemed she truly cared about Mary. Sister Mary, you must think about this carefully. Actually, wouldn't it be fun to visit other worlds? Even if you want to come back in the future, you can always ask Brother Yunxiao to send you back. Emma, on the other hand, was still trying to persuade Mary. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 333 Mary's Decision. Unlike Selene, who stopped at the point, Emma continued to try to persuade Mary to return to the Marvel Universe with him. There was nothing wrong with Emma doing this. Not only would it not offend Mary, but it would only make her feel that she was simply concerned for her and hoped to help her completely break free from Hancock's entanglement. She knew very well that Emma often had the mentality of a child. Okay, I'll definitely think about it, Mary said with a smile. Then it's a deal. If you reject me and Sister Selene, I'll be heartbroken, Emma said with a smile. Then, Under Seleni's intentional or unintentional guidance, the three women avoided the topic and talked about other topics that women were interested in, such as clothing and cosmetics. Because of the shameless Wang Yunxiao's presence, they couldn't discuss the topic that women were also interested in, men. All in all, the atmosphere of the ensuing dinner was quite harmonious. The three women chatted and laughed, and even Wang Yunxiao would occasionally join in the fun. Late at night, fresh from a hearty battle, Wang Yunxiao, Selene, and Emma were all but sleepless. Leaving the bed, Wang Yunxiao went to the living room, casually lit a thin cigar, and began to smoke. Honestly, he'd been in a state of agitation since dinner. The thought of the high possibility that Mary would return to the Marvel Universe with them filled him with an inexplicable unease. He just didn't know why the two women couldn't sleep. "What are you thinking about?" Selene casually threw on a bathrobe and approached, holding 2 glasses of red wine. She handed one to Wang Yunxiao. Wang Yunxiao didn't respond, but stubbed out his cigar, pulled Selene into his arms, and kissed her deeply on the cheek. I get it. It's because of Mary, right? If I can really convince her to go back with us, how will you reward me?" Selene giggled and asked jokingly. "Reward? What reward? What does this have to do with Sister Mary?" Emma also ran out with a smile to join in the fun, snuggling up to Wang Yunxiao's other side and asking curiously. "What do you think?" Selene asked meaningfully. "Oh, I get it. Brother Yunxiao has always been targeting Sister Mary." "Humph, I knew it. Brother Yunxiao is the worst," Emma said with feigned dissatisfaction. After all, she was also a person with a clear mind. She saw what Wang Yunxiao was planning from the beginning, and she knew that Selene was also helping Wang Yunxiao with something, but she was just pretending to be ignorant. Not every woman is like Selene, who is indifferent to her lover's infidelity. There will also be dissatisfaction and complaints. Emma is like that. However, Emma didn't want Wang Yunxiao to be unhappy, even more than her own complaints. Furthermore, having spent some time with Mary, she'd grown to like her, so she was unintentionally cooperating with him. "Badgie," Wang Yunxiao beamed, pulling Emma into his arms and kissing her alluring red lips. Emma, no longer bothering to argue with Wang Yunxiao, immediately responded enthusiastically. After a long moment, their lips parted. "Bad guy, don't think I'll forgive you just because of this, huh?" Emma's cheeks flushed, but she still managed to maintain a proud and coquettish tone. "Alright, when the chance arises, I'll take you to other worlds." Wang Yunxiao made a series of promises, finally coaxing Emma's smile back. "Don't worry, Brother Yunxiao, I'll definitely help you. Even if I have to trick Sister Mary back." Emma, overjoyed, even changed her stance and assured with confidence, selling Mary out completely. Tisk, you fickle little rascal." Selene was speechless for a moment, pinching Emma's smooth skin in annoyance. "Tisk, aren't you the same? You've been in cahoots with Brother Yunxiao for a long time." Emma retorted, but suddenly felt a pain in her buttocks, and she couldn't help but cry out in surprise. "Brother Yunxiao," Emma glared at Wang Yunxiao angrily scolding him. "Well done, she deserves a beating." Selene smiled and added fuel to the fire. After some more playful banter, the three of them began to discuss how to quickly convince Mary to return to the Marvel Universe with them, to avoid further complications. She wondered what Mary would think if she knew this. In the days that followed, Selene and Emma behaved normally, just as before, though they would subtly encourage Mary and the others to return to the Marvel Universe together. This worked remarkably well, and Mary's feelings gradually shifted towards the two women. Just when Wang Yunxiao was brimming with joy, believing everything was going as he'd hoped, he unexpectedly "Fight me again." One day, Mary suddenly approached Wang Yunxiao alone. "Huh?" Wang Yunxiao stared at Mary, stunned, unsure of her intentions. "Don't worry, there are no restrictions this time. Just fight me and enjoy yourself," Mary said expressionlessly, her thoughts completely hidden. "Can I ask why?" Wang Yunxiao asked tentatively, genuinely baffled by Mary. Could it be that he'd accidentally offended her again recently? Impossible, he'd been paying close attention. PFFT. Aren't you trying to seduce me? Want me to join you on your world? I don't want to be with someone I can't even beat. Seeing Wang Yunxiao's cautious demeanor, Mary couldn't help but burst out laughing. She finally gave up on hiding her feelings and declared them directly. Mary's personality was truly direct, catching Wang Yunxiao off guard. To put it mildly, it was a bold, direct response. "Okay, Wang Yunxiao agreed without hesitation, even before Mary could finish her words. Shall we go now? Impatiently, Wang Yunxiao extended his hand to Mary. Mary gave Wang Yunxiao a deep look, then held out her hand, letting Wang Yunxiao take it. The next moment, the two of them had vanished from sight. On the boundless sea, Wang Yunxiao, covered in a dense layer of scales, a pair of vast dragon wings spread out from behind, a terrifying presence. Mary, clad in lightning armor, looked like a majestic goddess of war. Are you ready? Wang Yunxiao asked in a deep voice that sounded more like a demonic roar. Crackle. Mary didn't reply, but instead made her stance clear with her actions. Lightning surged around her, and she charged towards Wang Yunxiao. The painting of Beauty and the Beast unfolds again. Please collect, recommend and vote for me. Chapter 334 Return. On the turbulent sea, Wang Yunxiao lay sprawled, drifting with the current, breathing heavily, his face etched with exhaustion. Not far away, Mary was in little better shape, also adrift on the surface, breathing rapidly, her face a sickly flush. The two had engaged in a fierce battle, neither holding back, which had lasted for 7 days and nights. Even with their superhuman physical prowess, the mental fatigue was inevitable. Unfortunately, even with Wang Yunxiao's best efforts, he ultimately couldn't defeat Mary. He wondered what she must be thinking now. Thinking of this, Wang Yunxiao could no longer lie still and swam over to Mary's side with a thud. What are you doing? Mary smiled, looking at Wang Yunxiao. Leave this world with me. Seeing that Mary's attitude towards him was no longer as indifferent as before, Wang Yunxiao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He met Mary's gaze with deep affection and spoke sincerely. You haven't defeated me yet, Mary said with a half-smile. Wang Yunxiao was speechless for a moment, but he had already given it his all. I'll owe it to you for now, but I can always do it later. But Wang Yunxiao was so thick-skinned that he quickly recovered and said without any modesty. Mary curled her lips in annoyance, and her response was just these two words. Perhaps, we can try a different way of fighting. Wang Yunxiao's old temper resurfaced, and he couldn't help but push the issue further. You're such a jerk, Mary spat softly and glared at Wang Yunxiao. Just as Wang Yunxiao thought he had angered Mary again and was secretly blaming himself for rushing into things, he felt a weight drop on his body. Mary suddenly pressed down on him. You want to switch to this fighting style, woo, Mary teased, half smiled, then couldn't say any more. Her mouth was completely blocked by Wang Yunxiao's wide mouth. So, that's what bastard meant? Wang Yunxiao's lips curled up slightly. What are you thinking about? Wang Yunxiao asked softly. Be honest, isn't the winner still decided? I think I can definitely fight again. Wang Yunxiao leaned close to Mary's ear and teased with a wicked smile, finishing with a light puff. Mary sneered twice, she wouldn't be fooled. Okay, Wang Yunxiao shrugged regretfully, but didn't force it. There was still a long way to go. So, the two of them lay on the blue sea, listening to the crash of the waves, the cry of seagulls, the swirling of deep-sea fish. No one said anything, each lost in their own thoughts. Let's go, Mary suddenly sat up and said seriously. That's fine. Selene and Emma must be waiting impatiently, Wang Yunxiao said with a smile. I mean, let's leave this world and go to yours. Mary shook her head slightly, speaking with remarkable seriousness. Okay, Wang Yunxiao was taken aback for a moment, then a broad smile spread across his face. The next moment, Wang Yunxiao had embraced Mary's delicate body and kissed her alluring red lips passionately. The two of them vanished into the sea in an instant. Emma exclaimed in disbelief upon suddenly catching sight of Wang Yunxiao and Mary kissing passionately in the hotel bedroom. Mary realized they had actually returned to the hotel. Hastily pushing Wang Yunxiao away, she hurriedly grabbed the sheets and wrapped them around herself. After such a fierce battle, their clothes had been completely lost. Selene, you were right. They're really together. Meanwhile, Emma had already run out, exclaiming in shock. What do you mean by getting together? Wang Yunxiao was at a loss for words, completely speechless at Emma's thoughtless words. You're still laughing, Mary, mortified, glared at Wang Yunxiao. Alright, I won't laugh, Wang Yunxiao shrugged, casually throwing on a bathrobe, and strolling out. Emma was talking rapidly to Selene, her expression filled with disbelief. How could she not have noticed when these two got together? You're really quick. Selene glanced at Wang Yunxiao with a half-smile. Of course, you don't even look at who I am. Ahem, pack up, let's go home. Wang Yunxiao was about to say something smug when he suddenly felt a faint threat coming from behind him. He coughed twice and spoke seriously. Hey, Selene couldn't help but let out a silvery laugh. Sister Mary agreed to go back with us? That's great, Emma cheered and ran to Mary's side. Welcome to our family, Mary. Selene smiled as she approached Mary, whispering something in her ear that made her blush. The two women then engaged in a playful romp, and Emma naturally joined in. For a moment, Wang Yunxiao's eyes widened. Imagine three beautiful women playing together, especially one draped only in a sheet. What a beautiful scene it was. At the Wakanda Palace, Wang Yunxiao and his four companions' return immediately caught Best's attention, and soon the women and Howard's men gathered. After the festive reunion, Wang Yunxiao, without shying away from Mary, publicly collected Hancock's blood for Lane, Clarice, Best, and Elizabeth to send into their zombie bloodlines. Naturally, the four women had no objections. They knew their potential was limited to second-generation zombies, so they didn't have to be overly cautious about the blood they chose. The four women's advancement to the zombie bloodline went smoothly, and Hancock's blood proved powerful enough, allowing them to ascend to second-generation zombies in no time. After ascending to the second generation, the four women's strength more than doubled. According to Wang Yunxiao's estimate, they were definitely on par with alpha-level mutants. Thanks to the library for the guaranteed monthly pass. 4 updates are here today. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 335 The Secret of World Destruction. In the chaos of heaven and earth, yet in the beginning, compassion emerged. Nuwa fashioned humans from clay and refined colored stones to mend the heavens, bringing life to humanity. However, humanity's greed led them to self-destruction. Nuwa, exhausting all her energy, extracted the 5 vices of power, jealousy, resentment, confusion, and infatuation from the human world, transforming them into 5 colored stones to restore purity. However, the reality was contrary to her wishes. The 5 vices were deeply ingrained in the human heart, and as long as humanity existed, they would remain uneradicated. Heartbroken and disgusted, Nuwa issued a final ultimatum to humanity. If humanity continued its bloodlust on the day of her return, she would destroy heaven and earth. She then sealed her body within a 5-colored spirit and exiled herself to the 9 heavens, awaiting her return. In reality, countless civilizations existed on Earth long before humanity, but they all ultimately met their fate and perished. To prevent Nuwa from being swayed by fate and committing a catastrophic act, the Pangu clan, the creators of the universe, dispatched the zombie progenitor, Zheng Chen, to the human world to oversee Nuwa. However, fate, preemptively aware of the Pangu clan's plans, tampered with Zheng Chen's arrival, causing him to forget his mission. Upon his arrival, Zheng Chen's first sight was Nuwa. He witnessed her expressions of joy and sorrow for humanity, and unknowingly developed a strange affection for her. While Nuwa exiled herself to the 9 heavens, Zheng Chen entered a profound slumber, awaiting Nuwa's return. It is now the year 2000, a year before Nuwa's return. The Mandarin Oriental, located at 5 Connaught Road Central in Central, Hong Kong Island, boasts rich history, seamlessly blending tradition and modernity, west and east, making it Hong Kong's most renowned cultural hotel. The top-floor presidential suite offers panoramic views of Victoria Harbour and the entire island. But the presidential suite is undoubtedly very expensive, even those with money may not be able to stay there. It only accommodates those with prestige and status, otherwise the hotel would rather leave it vacant for a long time. And today, the presidential suite on the top floor of the Mandarin Oriental Hotel unexpectedly welcomed 3 new guests, Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wong, and Mary, who had just traveled from the Marvel Universe to my world with a vampire. With Red Queen around, fame and status are merely minor issues. Indeed, just a few days after returning to the Marvel Universe with Mary, Wang Yunxiao brought the 2 women back to the world of My Date with a Vampire. In Wang Yunxiao's opinion, the most likely way to fully transform Ada Wong is to find a member of the Pangu tribe and drink their blood. Perhaps the bloodline of destiny could also work. But don't forget, the bloodline of destiny can cause the zombies to become insane and uncontrollably crazy after mutation. Wang Yunxiao didn't want Ada Wong to take such a risk. Wang Yunxiao had always kept this matter in mind, but the world of My Date with a Vampire was far too dangerous, with fate lurking in the shadows, and he wasn't entirely sure. Now, with Mary's help, He felt it was time to truly plan. As for Selena, she was certainly a suitable candidate, but the burden of the entire North American Vampire Council rested on her and Lilith. Moreover, the council wasn't like the Protector Hill Group and the Hellfire Club, which had been run for years by Ada Wong and Selene. Even a brief absence wouldn't pose a major problem. Therefore, it was best to avoid troubling her if possible. What about the other women? They might also be interested in experiencing the world of My Date with a Vampire. In Wang Yunxiao's telling, this world was his original world. In a way, Wang Yunxiao wasn't wrong. This wasn't just the world he first traveled to, but also the world where his fate changed, where he was transformed into a zombie, and the starting point of everything. Considering the dangers of this world, and to avoid further trouble for Wang Yunxiao, none of the other women offered to come along. Even Emma, the most curious, declined. Is this the world where destiny exists? In the living room of the presidential suite, Ada Wang gazed curiously at this world through the large floor-to-ceiling windows. Destiny? Did I misunderstand, or is this just someone's code name? Before Wang Yunxiao could respond, Mary raised her doubts. Well, she had only just joined Wang Yunxiao's family, and even her zombie transformation hadn't happened yet, so naturally, she wasn't entirely clear on many things. Here's the thing, Ada Wang smiled sympathetically and gave Mary a brief overview of this world. This is incredible. Mary's face was filled with astonishment and disbelief. Even with her centuries of experience, how could she accept that this world not only had gods, ghosts, and zombies, but even the Pangu clan, the Creator clan, and Destiny still existed? So, this is your original world, Mary couldn't help but ask. That's right, Wang Yunxiao nodded with a smile. Does Destiny really exist in this world? Mary confirmed, staring intently into Wang Yunxiao's eyes. This was the thing she found most difficult to accept. Yes. But I guess he can't care about us right now, Wang Yunxiao shrugged nonchalantly. Why? Ada Wang asked, puzzled. Because there are people more worthy of his attention than us. It's the year 2000. In another year, 2001, legend has it that Nuwa will destroy the world. Wang Yunxiao didn't hold back, immediately recounting the details of Nuwa's destruction, the Pangu clan's entanglement with fate, and the encounter between Zhang Chen and Nuwa. Time slipped by unnoticed, the setting sun long gone, and night fell silently. Only then did Wang Yunxiao's story come to an end. The atmosphere in the living room fell silent, and not only Mary, but even Ada Wang was stunned by Wang Yunxiao's narration. In fact, Wang Yunxiao's story was too unbelievable and too shocking. Damn it. This fate is too abominable. He actually enjoys toying with the world. He deserves to be killed, Mary said angrily, her cold murderous intent not concealed at all. In thousands of years of existence, she had never hated a person who had nothing to do with her so much. And that Nuwa, isn't she the holy mother of the human race? Her thoughts are too extreme. She actually wants to destroy the world based on her own likes and dislikes. How is she different from those people in Umbrella? Emma Wang was also furious. The word destruction made her think of the world of Resident Evil where she was born. The end of the world, how painful, how desperate. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 336, Reunion of Old Friends. My dear, promise me you'll stop Nuwa's destruction. I don't want to see this world fall to ruin. Ada Wang pursed her lips and said quietly. Of course. I don't want to see that happen either. Wang Yunxiao, sensing Ada Wang's current mood, nodded in agreement without hesitation. And as for fate, we must find him and kill him, Mary chimed in with murderous intent. That's probably going to be difficult. This guy is hiding so well that the Pangu clan has been searching for him for epochs and haven't been able to find him. Unless he reveals himself, we have virtually no chance. Although he didn't want to disappoint Mary, Wang Yunxiao replied sincerely. Besides, even if there was a way, Wang Yunxiao wouldn't do it. His primary purpose was to help Ada Wang complete the transformation of his zombie bloodline. If he confronted fate first, some unforeseen events would inevitably occur, something he absolutely didn't want to see. Alright, Mary curled her lips in disappointment, but she knew Wang Yunxiao was speaking the truth. Don't worry. If I get the chance in the future, I won't let him go, Wang Yunxiao said softly, pulling Mary into a hug. Remember your words, humph. And, take your claws away. Mary was pleased, but she acted rather arrogant, pushing Wang Yunxiao away in a stern manner. Perhaps it was because Emma had been around so long that her arrogance had caught on. Where are we going next? Ada Wang couldn't help but smile at Wang Yunxiao's innocent expression, then quickly changed the subject to prevent him from launching into another act of antics. Since we're back, let's go see some old friends first. Wang Yunxiao's attention was indeed diverted, his gaze lingering as he gazed out towards Victoria Harbor in the night. Forget Bar, a perfectly ordinary bar, not much different from the famous Lan Kuei Fuang bars. If there was any difference, it might be its location in a neighborhood not far from Victoria Harbor. 2 years ago, the bar wasn't called that, it was called Waiting Bar. And, few people know, its two proprietresses aren't human, but millennia-old snake demons, Bai Susao and Zhaoking. 2 years ago, after Susao's wish was fulfilled and she ascended into heaven with a smile on her face, Zhaoking sold the Waiting Bar, which was taken over by the current proprietress, who renamed it Forget Bar. The proprietress who took over Forget Bar is none other than Ma Dingdang, the 40th generation descendant of the Ma clan, the exorcist dragon clan, and hailed as the most gifted heir in the family. Ma Dingdang chose Forget Bar for a simple reason. Ma Xiaoling, the 41st generation descendant of the Ma clan, lives in the Jiajia building in the community, acting as a kind of hidden guardian. Ultimately, she always felt guilty towards the Ma family. Welcome. As soon as Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, and Mary entered the bar, the waitress, Dummy, greeted them warmly. This person wasn't human either, but a cat who, over 60 years ago, by chance, swallowed half of the purifying dragon pearl of the Ma clan, a clan of exorcist dragons, and was transformed into a human. The cat who swallowed the other half with her was her sister, Xiaomi. By chance, Ma Dingdang discovered the two sisters and took them in, making them waitresses at Forget Bar. It's a truly blessed place. However, Xiaomi has a rather wild personality and isn't content to stay at Forget Bar as a waitress. She often wanders off. So she's not currently at Forget Bar. Hello. I'm looking for your proprietress. Oh, it looks like she won't be needed, Wang Yunxiao said with a smile, and then spotted Ma Dingdang, sitting in a corner, enjoying a drink. At the same time, Ma Dingdang's gaze also turned towards Wang Yunxiao, and their eyes met. Long time no see, Dingdang, Wang Yunxiao strode over. Yes, long time no see, Ma Dingdang said with emotion, her eyes flickering slightly. Wang Yunxiao knew that Ma Dingdang's emotion had little to do with her, but more to do with Jiang Chen, the man she would never forget. Who are they? Ma Dingdang asked curiously, looking at Ada Wang and Mary, who stood on Wang Yunxiao's left and right. They are both my lovers, Ada Wang and Mary. Wang Yunxiao smiled and introduced the two women to Ma Dingdang. I didn't realize you were so fickle. After briefly greeting the two women, Wang Yunxiao teased Wang Yunxiao again. When flowers are ready to be picked, pick them now, don't wait until there are no flowers to pluck. Don't you agree? Wang Yunxiao smiled slightly and said meaningfully. You've really changed a lot. Ma Dingdang naturally heard the deep meaning in Wang Yunxiao's words and replied unhappily. Perhaps, this is my true nature, Wang Yunxiao raised an eyebrow and said with a smile. What he said was indeed the truth. Maybe. Now that I think about it, you are really mysterious. Since that incident, there has been no news at all. Even if it was him, there would always be a trace to follow, and you, Ma Dingdang looked at Wang Yunxiao deeply and shook his head with a sigh. Why? Are you so concerned about me? You are not going to exorcise demons and defend the way like that old witch Madonna, Wang Yunxiao said in faint surprise. Hey, she is my aunt. And she has been dead for many years, Ma Dingdang blamed him dissatisfiedly. I can't help it. Who told her to hunt me down so hard that I had no way out? You know, I have always been a grudge, Wang Yunxiao shrugged and said without any embarrassment. No way, her main target back then was Jiang Chen? Even before, she didn't do anything to you, did she? Ma Dingdang asked, puzzled. I'm not talking about that time, but when she was younger. It wasn't long after I was transformed into a zombie when she ran into me. Come to think of it, she and I really had a connection, huh? Wang Yunxiao's face was filled with nostalgia at the mention of Madonna, and at the end, he couldn't help but laugh. If it weren't for Madonna's pursuit, Wang Yunxiao might not be where he is today. Isn't this a different kind of fate? I didn't expect you zombies to have such a connection with our Ma family. Hearing Wang Yunxiao's story, Ma Dingdang sighed even more. Southern Ma and Northern Ma. Isn't it because your Ma family has always been obsessed with us zombies? Wang Yunxiao curled his lips and replied unhappily. Even so, Wang Yunxiao knew that the Ma family of the exorcist dragon clan was also forced to do what they wanted. They carry the blood of destiny, but they are nothing more than pawns of fate. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 337 Heading to England. Come to think of it, why did you come back so early? It's still more than a year away from that day, right? Ma Dingdang asked curiously. But when she mentioned that day, a hint of worry and solemnity flashed in the depths of her eyes, and it was obvious that she knew something. Did you misunderstand something? This matter has nothing to do with me, and I haven't seen Jiang Chen again in all these years. Wang Yunxiao was surprised and said innocently. I also want to meet him this time when I came back. By the way, do you have any news about him? Wang Yunxiao was too lazy to explain to Ma Dingdang's suspicious eyes, and just asked about Jiang Chen's whereabouts. You really didn't come back for that matter? Ma Dingdang asked instead of answering. That's not the case, but I can guarantee that I don't want to see this world go to destruction. Wang Yunxiao spread his hands and said seriously. Okay. I believe you. After staring at Wang Yunxiao for a long time, Ma Dingdang finally believed his words a little. That's the truth, isn't it? You haven't answered me yet. Is there any news about him? Wang Yunxiao rolled his eyes speechlessly and pressed again. No. The only thing I can confirm right now is that he hasn't returned, Ma Dingdang said quietly, his eyes flickering. Is that so? Wang Yunxiao sighed softly, but didn't express disappointment. This was exactly what he expected. But something happened a few days ago that might be related to him. Ma Dingdang suddenly spoke up. What was it? Wang Yunxiao perked up and pressed on. Just 3 days ago, at a jewelry exhibition, a zombie snatched a most precious exhibit, the Angel's Tears, from Xiaoling's hands. Ma Dingdang briefly recounted the events. Ma Xiaoling? Is she the 41st generation descendant of your Ma family? A zombie that could snatch something from her must be quite special, right? Which generation? Third? Or second? Through Ma Dingdang's narration, Wang Yunxiao immediately understood the whole story, but he remained expressionless as he pressed on. Neither. She's probably just a 4th-generation zombie, Ma Dingdang said, shaking his head. No way? This generation of your Ma family is so useless, Wang Yunxiao said, feigning surprise. What are you talking about? Xiaoling is the most special person in our Ma family, her talent is even comparable to mine. That zombie only managed to escape through a last-ditch effort, but she definitely won't survive for long. Even gods can't save her, Ma Dingdang retorted. How can she not be special? She's the reincarnation of your Ma ancestor, Ma Linger, Wang Yunxiao muttered to himself, but kept silent. After all, these were the Ma family's most secrets, difficult for outsiders to know. If he revealed them, he would be completely unable to explain himself. Xiaoling has already pursued her to England for this matter. Perhaps you could go along and see for yourself. For a zombie to possess such obsession, the owner behind her must be quite extraordinary, Ma Dingdang added. While he didn't specify that the zombie's master was Jiang Chen, his suspicion was evident. Alright, I'll go to England and take a look, Wang Yunxiao agreed without hesitation. He knew, of course, that the zombie's master wasn't Jiang Chen, but the legendary Emperor Yingzhen. But Jiang Chen would be there, too. By the way, would you like to go with us? Wang Yunxiao then extended an invitation to Ma Dingdang. He thought, with a touch of mischievous amusement, that it would be quite interesting for Ma Dingdang and Jiang Chen to meet again after so many years. No thanks, unfortunately, Ma Dingdang wasn't fooled and flatly declined without a second thought. Alright then, Wang Yunxiao didn't force him, it was just his mischievous amusement. Wang Yunxiao stayed late at the frigate bar, chatting with Ma Dingdang for a long time before returning to the hotel with Ada Wang and Mary. The next morning, the three boarded a flight to England. They rented a luxury RV in London, and after inquiring about the exact location of Elftown, they drove south. Along the way, they saw ancient, elegant castles, endless green meadows, and flocks of sheep. Instead of rushing to Elftown, the three embarked on a self-guided road trip, stopping wherever they found interesting and enjoying themselves. Wang Yunxiao wasn't worried about being late, as he had already made sure to check in. Elftown's Elf Festival was still some time away, so as long as they arrived before then, they'd be fine. The day before Elftown, the three had just arrived and decided to stay at a small, British-style inn. Welcome, the innkeeper greeted them warmly as they entered. What a coincidence. Their random choice of inn turned out to be the same one where the powerful monk Peacock was staying. Hello. Could you please give us a room for the night? Wang Yunxiao said with a calm smile. Are you here for the town's elf festival? Peacock asked discreetly as he processed their paperwork. Yes, I heard the elf festival is a famous local speciality, only happening once every 50 years. Since we're here, we naturally have to make the most of it, Wang Yunxiao said with a natural smile. I advise the three of you to stay out of the streets after dark, Peacock suddenly said seriously. That's strange. If it's a festival, why aren't people allowed out? Is there a reason for that? Ada Wang asked, puzzled. Legend has it that during the 50th Elf Festival, the entire town disappears overnight, so you'd better avoid it, Peacock said solemnly. Oh? That's quite interesting. Ada Wang and Mary exchanged a glance, and instead of being frightened, they became even more intrigued. Seeing this, Peacock's face froze, unsure of what to say. This amused Wang Yunxiao. It would have been fine if Peacock hadn't said anything, but wouldn't it have only piqued the two women's curiosity? Everyone, your paperwork has been completed. Sorry, we don't have a waiter. Your room is on the 3rd floor. Please make yourselves. Peacock, having regained his composure, was clearly a bit angry and no longer as enthusiastic as before. He spoke stiffly. It's okay. We don't have any luggage. Wang Yunxiao shrugged nonchalantly, took the room card, and walked upstairs with the two women. This boss is so weird. He changes his attitude as quickly as turning the pages of a book, just like a woman. No wonder there are so few customers here, Mary couldn't help but complain, her voice undiminished. I believe the expression on Peacock's face must have been very interesting after hearing this. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338. It was him. As luck would have it, just as Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, and Mary reached the 2nd floor, the door to the adjacent room suddenly opened from the inside, and two beautiful Chinese women emerged, Ma Xiaoling and Wang Zhenzhen. Huh? Hello. Are you Chinese too? Wang Zhenzhen asked curiously. Yes, we're tourists from Hong Kong Island. My name is Ada Wang, and they are Mary and Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang said with a smile, introducing the three of them. What a coincidence. We're tourists from Hong Kong Island too, and she's my good friend Ma Xiaoling. Wang Zhenzhen's surprise deepened, and her enthusiasm grew. Upon hearing this, Ada Wang and Mary both glanced at Ma Xiaoling subtly, nodding with a smile. What a coincidence. They hadn't expected to meet Ma Xiaoling, the current heir of the Ma clan of the exorcist dragon clan, as Ma Dingdang had mentioned, so soon. It looks like you've been here for a few days, right? We just arrived. Could you show us what fun things to do here? Ada Wang asked, her expression impassive and her smile calm. Of course, there's a lot to do here. Wang Zhenzhen, always cheerful and generous, immediately began enthusiastically introducing things to Ada Wang. Following Ada Wang's guidance, Mary and Ma Xiaoling soon joined them. The four women chatted more and more lively, like old friends who had known each other for a long time. They finally agreed to go out for a walk together. After a quick tidying up in their room, the three of them went downstairs to reunite with Wang Zhenzhen and Ma Xiaoling. Meanwhile, two Chinese men, Guang Xianyao and Jin Hengzhong, were accompanying the two women. Hello. I'm Guang Xianyao, Zhenzhen's boyfriend. Guang Xianyao greeted the three of them warmly, not even waiting for Wang Zhenzhen to introduce them. Hello. I'm Jin Hengzhong. I didn't expect to meet a compatriot here. What a coincidence. Jin Hengzhong, a cheerful person, introduced himself with a smile. Hello. Wang Yunxiao, they're Ada Wang and Mary, my girlfriends. Wang Yunxiao also greeted with a smile. Guang Xianyao and the other three were stunned upon hearing this. Two girlfriends? And he announced it so openly, and Ada Wang and Mary didn't seem upset at all. How could they not be surprised? Guang Xianyao and Jin Hengzhong, in particular, were filled with admiration for Wang Yunxiao. The group then split into two smaller groups. The four women gathered together, walking in front and chatting quietly, while the three men followed behind them. Ada, is he really your boyfriend? Ma Xiaoling asked in disbelief, unable to resist her curiosity. Yes, it's because we've boarded this pirate ship and can't get off, Ada Wang replied with a smile, her expression natural and tinged with a hint of sweetness and happiness. It's not just the two of us, there are several more at home, Mary complained rather speechlessly. This was her true feeling. She had been fooled into Wang Yunxiao's trap. She had thought that she, Selene, and Emma were enough, but she had never expected to see even more after traveling to the Marvel Universe. Ma Xiaoling and Wang Yunxiao looked at each other in silence, feeling incredibly surprised, yet also inevitably curious about Wang Yunxiao. Who is Wang Yunxiao? How could he have so many outstanding girlfriends? Did he think he was an ancient emperor? He had 3 harems, 6 courtyards, and 72 concubines? Of course. The two women knew that some places and religious sects had different customs, and such practices still existed. But Ada Wang had already said that they were all from Hong Kong Island. Polygamy had been banned in Hong Kong since the 1980s, right? However, this was ultimately the private matter. Although they had only just met, Ma Xiaoling and Wang Yunxiao would not hastily try to dissuade them. Behind the 4 women, 3 grown men were also discussing the same topic. Unlike Ma Xiaoling and Wang Yunxiao, who were acting in disbelief, Guang Xianyao and Jin Hengzhong were filled with envy and resentment. Amazing, seeing that the 4 women weren't paying attention, Guang Xianyao gave them a thumbs up, expressing sincere admiration. Jin Hengzhong nodded repeatedly, unable to conceal the envy and resentment in his eyes. Why? You guys want to try it too? Do you want me to teach you a few tricks? Wang Yunxiao quipped, feeling quite pleased with himself. Guang Xianyao fell silent, occasionally glancing at Ma Xiaoling and Wang Yunxiao, especially Ma Xiaoling, who seemed lost in thought. Forget it, I don't even have a girlfriend right now, and I'm afraid no one would be interested in someone like me, Jin Hengzhong said with a self-aware smile. Don't worry, there will be one, perhaps soon, Wang Yunxiao patted Jin Hengzhong on the shoulder and said with a meaningful smile. That's right, Hengzhong, give yourself some confidence, huh? Guang Xianyao also advised from the side. But, why is his tone so strange? I hope so, Jin Hengzhong shrugged, his expression quite strange. While chatting and laughing, the 3 of them quickly became familiar with each other. It can only be said that talking about women will always help to enhance the relationship between men. In this way, the group played around the town for a whole day, and did not return home until the evening. Unfortunately, they could not have dinner together, because Riley, the owner of the castle in the town, was going to entertain Guang Xianyao and others tonight. Riley, the master behind the zombie that Ma Xiaoling was desperately pursuing, was also the greatest emperor of ancient China, Qin Shi Huang Yingzhen. Although Wang Yunxiao wanted to meet Riley, he would not rashly follow Guang Xianyao and others. Besides, if he wanted to meet Riley, he would have another chance tomorrow, so why should he rush now? After watching Guang Xianyao and the others leave, Wang Yunxiao and the other 2 didn't return to the hotel. They were discussing their next destination when they saw Guang Xianyao approaching with a strange Chinese man. It's him. Wang Yunxiao's gaze narrowed slightly, a complex, unreadable expression flashing across her gaze as she looked at the Chinese man. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with this guy? Mary, immediately noticing Wang Yunxiao's strangeness, whispered. He's a zombie. A 3rd-generation zombie like me, Ada Wang, a fellow zombie, instantly revealed the Chinese man's identity. So, he's the mastermind behind the zombies who stole the angel's tears, Mary thought deeper. Seeing him walking with Guang Xianyao, he must be the owner of the castle that's hosting them tonight, Ada Wang added. In a few words, the 2 women had figured out the Chinese man's identity. 4 updates for today are here. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 339 Riley's Banquet. In a few words, Ada Wang and Mary had already deduced Riley's identity, but that wasn't the real reason for Wang Yunxiao's surprise. With his eyes fixed on Riley, Wang Yunxiao's thoughts flew back decades, to when he had just transmigrated into the world of My Date with a Vampire. Back then, China was engulfed in war. Japanese invaders had invaded, and under the Japanese's iron hooves, the already fragile ancient nation of China was reduced to a bloody slaughterhouse. It's easy to imagine how difficult and arduous Wang Yunxiao's life must have been, having inexplicably traveled from the 21st century to such a war-torn era. But despite his desperate struggles, even taking risks to survive, he ultimately reached a point of despair. Are you going to die? Just as Wang Yunxiao's despair reached its peak, forced him to face death with equanimity, a seductive voice suddenly rang out in his ears. Yes, Wang Yunxiao sighed bitterly, his eyes filled with relief at the prospect of death, but even more so, a longing for life. What can I do for you? Perhaps moved by Wang Yunxiao's gaze, the visitor remained silent for a long moment before asking seriously. Give me a quick death? Or perhaps save me? Wang Yunxiao pursed his dry lips, his voice ambivalent. Even he didn't know what he wanted most right now. Okay, another unspeakable silence followed, and the visitor sighed softly. Immediately, before Wang Yunxiao could say anything else, he felt himself being helped to his feet. A sharp pain shot through his neck, and he gradually lost consciousness, only vaguely recognizing the visitor's general features. When Wang Yunxiao regained consciousness, he found himself transformed into a zombie. He stared at Riley, who was getting closer and closer. Suddenly, the figure that had transformed him into a zombie gradually overlapped with Riley before him. Hello. I'm Riley. I heard from Xian'ai that a friend from back home came, so I asked him to bring me here. I'd like to invite you three to my castle. Having lived in England for a long time, Riley's every word and gesture exuded gentlemanly grace. But he didn't seem to recognize Wang Yunxiao. And it was no wonder. Back then, Wang Yunxiao had been emaciated and gaunt, tormented by hardship. Coupled with his near-death experience, he barely resembled a human. It was hard to believe he was a completely different person. Ada Wang and Mary's gazes converged on Wang Yunxiao, both with a sense of prioritization and concern for his recent absence. Of course, it's honor. My name is Wang Yunxiao, and these two are my lovers, Ada Wang and Mary. Wang Yunxiao smiled and accepted Riley's invitation, not forgetting to introduce himself and the other two. Hello. This way. Riley politely nodded to the two women, then slightly turned sideways, gesturing for them to come. When did Mr. Riley emigrate to England? Have you been here long? Wang Yunxiao asked with a smile as the group walked and chatted. Just call me Riley. Actually, I've been here for 10 years, which is a long time, Riley replied with a smile. Okay, Riley. Have you heard of the Elf Festival? Actually, we stumbled upon the legend of the Elf Festival, which is why we came all the way here, Wang Yunxiao asked thoughtfully. Oh? I wonder which Elf Festival legends you've heard about, Mr. Wang, Riley asked with a smile, his expression unchanged. There are many. The one that most intrigued us is that during the Elf Festival 50 years ago, everyone in the town vanished overnight. Wang Yunxiao glanced at Riley subtly and said with a smile. Yes, everyone in the town vanished overnight. It's indeed strange. But perhaps only the elves know what happened, Riley said with a sigh. Are there really elves? Ada Wang couldn't help but wonder. Of course. Past here is the elf forest. Legend has it that every 50 years, when the Andromeda constellation is at its brightest, a new elf is born in a mysterious place within the forest. Together with the other elves, they live a carefree life, protecting this pure land far removed from the mundane world. Riley recounted the origins of Elf Festival with a smile. That's a beautiful legend indeed. Perhaps we can go look for the newborn elves tomorrow. Wang Yunxiao smiled at the two girls. Okay. Calls Ling and Hensun too, and we'll go together. Mary nodded and smiled. Actually, we don't have to wait until Elf Festival. A few years ago, I met a friend who comes here every year at this time. He says only those with pure hearts can hear the elves tell stories, covering everything from ancient times to the present, joys and sorrows. Well, it seems like a bad man like me has no hope of hearing elves tell stories, Wang Yunxiao said with feigned regret. You know, the two girls rolled their eyes at Wang Yunxiao. Wang Yunxiao smiled awkwardly. He naturally knew why the two girls were like this, and secretly blamed himself for bringing up something that was out of the ordinary. It's okay. Beautiful and kind ladies like Ada and Mary will definitely be able to hear the elves tell stories. Kwang Xian'ai smiled and helped Wang Yunxiao out. Wang Yunxiao quickly cast a grateful look at Kwang Xian'ai. Ada, Mary, we are here, come quickly. As they talked and laughed, the group arrived at Riley's castle. From a distance, they heard Wang Zhensun's loud call to the two girls. The group quickened their pace. Before arriving at the castle, the two girls immediately gathered together with Mazia Erling and Wang Zhensun. Without any movement from Riley, The wooden gate of the castle slowly opened. "Welcome. It's been a long time since it was so lively here. Please come this way." Riley made a gesture of invitation and led the way. Mr. Riley lives in such a big castle, why doesn't he hire a servant? The castle is really big, but they didn't see a single servant as they walked along. Mosiah Erling asked with feigned curiosity. Speaking of which, ever since she first saw Riley, Mosiah Erling felt that there was something wrong with Riley, but she couldn't put her finger on what was wrong. "I'm used to quietness. The servants go home to rest after their work every day. They are all residents of the town," Riley replied politely. "Everyone, please take a seat." As they were talking, they had already arrived at the banquet hall. "Wow, what a beautiful banquet hall." "Thank you," Wang Yunxiao exclaimed sincerely at the guests in front of her, and seeing Riley personally pull out the chairs, she quickly thanked him and took her seat. But she left her real boyfriend, Wang Yunxiao, aside, which was so embarrassing. "Please collect, recommend, and vote for me." Chapter 340 Dinner. At the rectangular dining table, Riley politely pulled out a chair for Wang Yunxiao, which embarrassed Wang Yunxiao, her official boyfriend. Not only Wang Yunxiao, but everyone else felt a bit awkward, creating a mysteriously awkward situation. Fortunately, Wang Yunxiao was never a stingy man, and he knew Riley had no other feelings for Wang Yunxiao, so he didn't take it too seriously. This was indeed the case. Perhaps it was because he saw a reflection of his wife, Xian, in Wang Yunxiao, but Riley always unconsciously acted differently towards Wang Yunxiao, but his heart remained firmly tied to his wife. "Wow, this dining table is so long." As a good friend, Jin Hangzhong, sensing Wang Yunxiao's embarrassment, exclaimed exaggeratedly. "Hold on. Don't embarrass me," Mosiah Erling gently scolded, glaring at Jin Hangzhong. Jin Hangzhong shrank back, immediately becoming intimidated. He was genuinely afraid of Mosiah Erling, his master. Regardless, the minor awkwardness faded into oblivion, and attention shifted to the exquisite food on the table. "Cheers to meeting old friends in a foreign land." Riley raised his glass and toasted to the crowd at the start of the dinner. "Cheers to our hospitable hosts," Wang Yunxiao chimed in with a smile. "Cheers," everyone raised their glasses. The rest of the dinner passed without incident, and the atmosphere grew increasingly lively as everyone ate and chatted. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, the 4 grown men, Wang Yunxiao, Wang Yunxiao, Jin Hangzhong, and Riley, began to compete in drinking. "Is this what you call a trumpet?" Riley downed the entire bottle of red wine in one gulp, not forgetting to crack a joke. "Hey," everyone laughed heartily. Imagine a man so unfailingly gentlemanly suddenly letting out a corny joke, and how could it not elicit laughter? "Excuse me, ladies. It's been a while since we've had a chat or a drink." "I'm sorry, Riley," still the same Riley, politely apologized to the 4 women. "It's okay, just be cheerful," Wang Yunxiao said with a considerate smile. "Men, being a bit more forthright is more appealing. Come, let's have another toast together," Wang Yunxiao chimed in with a smile, raising his glass again. "After this drink, we can talk freely." "Cheers," Wang Yunxiao smiled and raised his glass. "Cheers," everyone raised their glasses again. "Then, Mr. Riley, could you tell us about the zombie story?" Mosiah Erling, still the same Mosiah Erling, put down her glass and asked with a smile. "No, didn't you? I already told you yesterday," Jin Hangzhong, perhaps drunk or not, dared to contradict Mosiah Erling. "Zhenhen only said a little yesterday. I think Mr. Riley must know better, right?" Mosiah Erling didn't bother to answer Jin Hangzhong, but smiled at Riley instead. "It seems that if I don't tell you, Miss Ma won't let me go," Riley said jokingly, his face always maintaining an elegant smile. "Sorry, it's a professional hazard." Mosiah Erling's smile remained undimmed. "Actually, the story of the elves takes place in this ancient castle." Riley smiled and shook his head, then slowly stood up, his expression gradually becoming serious. In an instant, the lively atmosphere dissipated, and everyone's expressions were filled with a hint of surprise, pretending to listen attentively. Boom! Suddenly, lightning and thunder flashed outside the window, and a light rain began to fall, adding to the eerie atmosphere in the banquet hall. Long, long ago, there was a man who, in pursuit of immortality, willingly became a zombie. But later, he began to regret it, realizing that he was just a monster, living on blood, unacceptable to the world. The price of immortality is eternal pain. The only sounds in the banquet hall were Riley's low voice and the clatter of his footsteps. Guang Xianyao and the others listened intently, but Wang Yunxiao exchanged a subtle glance with Ada Wang and Mary. They knew the man Riley was referring to was himself. A flicker of disdain flashed across Wang Yunxiao's eyes. He had always believed that immortality was the eternal pursuit of most people, and there was nothing wrong with that. As for the idea of suffering, it was merely an excuse for losers. So, he brought his maid, also a zombie, to this remote castle, thinking he could escape the world and live a miserable life. Riley finally stopped behind Guang Xianyao and Wang Zhenzi, his story still continuing. Wang Yunxiao's disdain grew even deeper. As a third-generation zombie, he had led himself to such a miserable state. It was no wonder his final fate was so tragic. But misfortune didn't spare him. One day, this man stumbled upon a woman who captivated his heart. A bold and outgoing woman, yet easily moved to tears. At this point, Riley paused, silently raising his glass, as if lost in some memory. Everyone looked at each other, wondering what Riley was up to. They were listening intently. Why did he suddenly stop? It was like he was keeping them on the edge of their seats. Ma Xiaoling, in particular, was different. She wasn't just listening to the story, she had a vague suspicion in her mind. She was about to say something when Guang Xianyao interrupted her. Well, how about we play a game of storytelling? Guang Xianyao asked with a smile. He knew Ma Xiaoling all too well, and he was afraid she'd ask something inappropriate, so he stepped in to lighten the mood. Okay, I think. Jin Hangzhong shared the same concern and quickly agreed. Wait a minute, I brought it up, so I should speak first. Guang Xianyao interrupted Jin Hangzhong hastily, fearing this outspoken fellow would escalate the situation further. His instincts as a police officer naturally gave him a vague suspicion. Okay, go ahead, Jin Hangzhong shrugged, not arguing with Guang Xianyao any further. The two's banter had indeed drawn everyone's attention away from Riley, who was drinking alone. At least, that was how it appeared. Then this woman began to visit this man frequently. And this man gradually forgot his zombie identity and began to fall in love with this woman. Or maybe this man never forgot he was a zombie, because zombies are human beings, and have feelings. So, even though he knew he was wrong, he continued to do it anyway. Guang Xianyao then began his story with a serious tone. He didn't notice that Riley froze slightly as he poured himself a drink, and a flicker of unnaturalness crossed his face. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 341 Xia's Sudden Arrival. During the dinner, Guang Xianyao was engaged in a lively conversation, playing his game of storytelling, thinking he was helping Riley out. Unexpectedly, his story struck a chord with Riley. Later, this man bit this woman and sucked her blood dry. The result was a tragedy. Jin Hangzhong quickly interjected when Guang Xianyao paused. Well, this guy was indeed outspoken. Of course not. They'll get married, Wang Zhenzi immediately retorted. It's the same tragedy. This zombie thought he could hide his identity and be with this woman forever. He invited the whole city to his wedding on Elf Day 50 years ago. But it ended in tragedy, Ma Xiaoling interrupted, not forgetting to stare at Riley. Riley had already slumped back into his chair, ignoring Ma Xiaoling's inquiring gaze. What about Angel's tears? Finally, Ma Xiaoling asked the question that was most pressing to her. It concerned her wallet. Angel's tears was a wedding gift from a man to a woman, but it also served as the catalyst for tragedy. On the wedding night, a group of robbers broke into the ceremony, intent on stealing the angel's tears. They murdered anyone they saw, and the blood drove the man mad, leading to irreversible tragedy. Riley, no longer holding back, took over the conversation, completing the story. When the woman became a zombie, she left the man, never to return. And the guests who perished that night became ghosts, remaining in this castle. They wait here, hoping to see the man atone for his sins before their own eyes, only to rest in peace. Riley's story ended, yet everyone felt a pang of sympathy. Where did this man go? Wang Yunxiao suddenly asked, the atmosphere darkening again. But everyone present was no fool. They all had their own suspicions. The man in the story was Riley himself. So, wasn't Riley a zombie? Fortunately, no one present was ordinary. Even the most ordinary Wang Zhenzi, having spent years interacting with Ma Xiaoling, wasn't overly frightened. She also had a good impression of Riley and didn't believe he would harm them. Perhaps that man is me, Riley. For some unknown reason, jokingly said this, but his expression was grave. Everyone, I invited you here today in the hope that Miss Ma's exorcisms will put an end to this tragedy that has lasted half a century. Riley smiled again and extended his invitation to Ma Xiaoling. Why should I help you? Ma Xiaoling was unconvinced. First, I have money. Second, we're friends, and I'd be grateful. Third, because this man, who knows where in the castle, will confess his sins only to have his rage flare up again, returning step by step from the hell of regret to reality. Riley spoke seriously. But everyone could tell he was talking about himself, and he was terrified of a recurrence of the past tragedy. Tramp, tramp, tramp. Just then, crisp footsteps echoed outside the banquet hall, a sound all the more eerie and terrifying in the atmosphere. Riley had already said his castle had no servants, so who could be the newcomers? Could it really be the ghosts haunting the place? Ma Xiaoling was the first to rush out, and everyone else quickly followed. But as they exited the banquet hall, they saw no one. Could it be ghosts truly be haunting the place? Welcome. Suddenly, a clear, female voice rang out from behind the crowd. Everyone turned to see a woman, a strikingly beautiful woman, shrouded in a black robe. Shia. Riley was utterly stunned, gasping in disbelief as he hurried over to the woman. Seeing this, everyone knew this woman was the castle's mistress, the tragic heroine from the previous story, and also a zombie. Riley, why did you invite so many friends over without telling me? Shia glared at Riley in disapproval. Hello everyone. I'm Riley's fiancée, Shia. Nice to meet you all. Shia then greeted everyone warmly, a sweet smile on her face. Hello. Everyone also greeted Shia. As for what they were thinking, only they knew. Mr. Riley, I thought you were the only one in this castle. Seeing the atmosphere was a little strange, Kwang Xian'ai made a joke, trying to break the weirdness. Yet, he's usually alone because he likes solitude and there's nothing I can do about it. Tonight, I wanted to give him a surprise, but who knew he'd meet so many new friends? Shia's answer was also very generous and decent, showing that she also came from a prominent family. Surprise? Or maybe it's a shock. At this moment, countless people secretly complained in their hearts. Why do you look like that? Is Riley telling a scary story again? Is it that zombie story again? You're so naughty. Seeing that everyone's eyes were different, Shia scolded Riley again. It seemed that everything was so natural. It was a pity that everyone had already formed a preconceived notion, so how could they be fooled by Shia's few words? Especially Wang Yunxiao, who had the simplest mind, and everything she thought in her heart was reflected on her face. This lady is so beautiful. As expected, Shia stared at Wang Yunxiao and strode in front of her. Kwang Xian'ai was startled and subconsciously held Wang Yunxiao's hand tightly. Hello. My name is Wang Yunxiao. Feeling the warmth from the hand, Wang Yunxiao was no longer afraid, and only sweetness was left. She introduced herself with a smile. Miss Wang, meeting you, I know what happiness in this world is. When you're scared, there's a man you can rely on, holding your hand tightly, taking care of you, and protecting you. How enviable. I wish Riley could treat me like that. She acidly glanced at their clasped hands and said with a solemn expression of envy. Mr. Riley will definitely treat you well, Wang Yunxiao said seriously. Is that so, Riley? Shia turned to look at Riley. But before Riley could reply, Wang Yunxiao suddenly lost her balance and collapsed into Kwang Xian'ai's arms. Yunxiao, everyone immediately gathered around in a commotion. Wang Yunxiao gave Shia a meaningful look. He, Ada Wang, and Mary could all see that this was all Shia's doing. Unfortunately, her mental attacks were so ordinary, a far cry from Selene's. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 342 A Restless Night. How is it going? Ma Xiaoling asked concernedly. Your forehead feels so hot, like you have a fever, Kwang Xian'ai said sternly, placing his hand on Wang Yunxiao's forehead. We're fine, just a little dizzy, Wang Yunxiao said quickly, avoiding worry. Why don't we take Miss Wang upstairs to get some rest? There are many guest rooms in the castle, so please feel free to stay here tonight, Shia said, finally revealing her purpose. Kwang Xian'ai and Ma Xiaoling exchanged a look of hesitation. Who knew if staying in this zombie castle would be dangerous? Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, and Mary simply watched, eager to see what tricks Shia had in store. Riley, take the guests to the guest rooms to rest, Shia said to Riley before Kwang Xian'ai and Ma Xiaoling could make a decision. Everyone, please follow me. Riley gave Xie a deep look, knowing full well that she had orchestrated all this, but he couldn't expose her, so he could only gesture to everyone to invite them in. At this point, Guang Xianyao and Ma Xiaoling couldn't delay any longer. They supported Wang Yunxiao and followed Riley upstairs with the others. Interesting. Don't you think that Xie is really interesting? Wang Yunxiao said playfully in the guest room, his mischievousness showing through again. What's interesting? A crazy woman, who knows what kind of trouble she'll cause tonight. Mary glared at Wang Yunxiao unhappily. There's always something hateful about pitiful people. Hey, let's focus on Wang Yunxiao tonight. She's really kind, and I don't want to see anything happen to her. Ada Wang sighed softly, but she was more concerned about Wang Yunxiao's situation. HMPH, I hope she doesn't go too far. Mary's lips curled up slightly, a cold smile spreading across them. You can teach her a lesson, but please don't kill her. Just consider it a favor for me to repay Riley, Wang Yunxiao warned. How did you owe Riley a favor? Mary immediately cast a curious look. Yes. And, what about the way you looked at Riley earlier? Ada Wang asked curiously. She was referring, of course, to the time they first met Riley. You might not believe this, but Riley was the one who turned me into a zombie. Wang Yunxiao let out a wry smile, and without holding back, she recounted the entire story. To think it could be this way. Upon hearing this, the two women exchanged glances, each seeing the surprise in the other's eyes. Could such a coincidence exist? Meanwhile, in the guest room next door, while Guang Xianyao and the others were also discussing Riley and Xie, the atmosphere was decidedly different. Master, believe me, there's something fishy about Riley and Xie, Jin Hangzhong declared with a solemn expression. They might all be zombies. After tucking Wang Yunxiao's blanket into place, Guang Xianyao, with an equally solemn expression, delivered his assessment. If they were zombies, why didn't Riley suck Yunxiao's blood? Jin Hangzhong agreed with Guang Xianyao assessment, but he still raised a question. Maybe they aren't. Thinking back to when he and his companions first arrived in Elf Town, Guang Xianyao became unsure. Back then, while chasing the zombie that stole the angel's tears, Wang Yunxiao and the others had become separated and had even spent a whole night in this castle, all without incident. I hope they aren't, too. Otherwise, I might not be able to deal with them, Ma Xiaoling said solemnly. But her words were filled with concern for their current situation, clearly convinced that Riley and Xie were zombies. Even if they were zombies, I don't think they would harm us. Guang Xianyao, still fond of Riley, couldn't help but argue. HMPH. You men are always like that. You become friends after a few words, but don't wait until you're sold out and have to help count the money. Besides, don't forget Xie, Ma Xiaoling sneered disdainfully. Upon hearing this, Guang Xianyao fell silent. He, too, sensed that something was amiss with Xie. She might have been haunted by the tragedy that happened 50 years ago, and there was no guarantee she wouldn't do something. Hey? Wait a minute, Riley knew my master and I were ghost and zombie hunters, so why did he invite us to dinner? Jin Hangzhong suddenly interjected, posing a new question. Maybe he orchestrated this dinner, then told his story, hoping Xiaoling would subdue him and find relief, Guang Xianyao said with a wry smile. If his story is true, then Xie is back for revenge. Ma Xiaoling's assessment was closer to the truth. No way, Jin Hangzhong shuddered. Sure, he might be Ma Xiaoling's apprentice, but his ghost and zombie hunting skills weren't particularly impressive. Tramp, tramp, tramp. Just then, the eerie sound of footsteps echoed again in the hallway outside the guest room. Ma Xiaoling and Guang Xianyao exchanged glances and rushed out of the room together, finding nothing. When they turned back, they saw Jin Hangzhong trembling and following them. What are you doing? Ma Xiaoling asked angrily. I need to go to the bathroom. Xianyao, come with me, Jin Hangzhong said bitterly. What a loser, Ma Xiaoling cursed indignantly. She was truly speechless about her apprentice. Let's go. Guang Xianyao was also helpless, but he and Jin Hangzhong still walked to the bathroom. Bang! After watching the two leave, Ma Xiaoling was about to return to the guest room when she was surprised to see the wooden door slam shut automatically. Zhenzhen, Zhenzhen, Ma Xiaoling was extremely anxious, banging on the door and shouting. What's wrong, Xiaoling? Hearing the sound, Wang Yunxiao and the other two also came out of the room. Ada Wang asked with concern. Zhenzhen is locked in. Zhenzhen, Zhenzhen, Ma Xiaoling said anxiously, still banging on the door and shouting. What? Mary looked upset and was about to go forward to help, but was pulled back by Wang Yunxiao. Wang Yunxiao certainly wasn't going to stand by and watch someone die. His five senses were always paying attention to every move in the guest room. If she really wanted to do something, he could stop her in time. Mary glared at Wang Yunxiao dissatisfiedly, but didn't insist anymore. In the guest room, Wang Zhenzhen was still unconscious. There was such a loud noise outside, but she didn't show any sign of waking up. Beside Wang Zhenzhen's bed, Xia gently stroked Wang Zhenzhen's cheek, and a cold light flashed in her gray-brown vertical pupils. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 343 Ma Xiaoling's True Nature. Zhenzhen, Zhenzhen, Ma Xiaoling kept banging on the guest room's wooden door, her voice anxiously wailing. Miss Ma, let me do it, Wang Yunxiao signaled, signaling that he could kick the door open. Okay. Hurry up, Ma Xiaoling hurriedly stepped aside. Xiaoling, what's wrong? Just then, Huang Xianyao and Jin Hengzhong hurried back. The door suddenly slammed shut and won't open, Ma Xiaoling said anxiously. Bang! Before Ma Xiaoling could finish her words, Wang Yunxiao had already kicked the door open. Everyone rushed in, only to find everything normal in the guest room. Wang Zhenzhen was still unconscious in bed, seemingly unharmed. Only Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, and Mary realized that at the moment Wang Yunxiao kicked the door open, Riley had taken Xia away, who was about to bite Wang Zhenzhen. You two keep an eye on Zhenzhen while we go downstairs to take a look, Huang Xianyao said in a deep voice after a moment's thought. Be careful, Ma Xiaoling didn't object, merely urging Huang Xianyao to be cautious. Yet, Huang Xianyao nodded slightly, and left the guest room with Wang Yunxiao and Jin Hengzhong. With Ma Xiaoling and the other two in the room, he felt relatively reassured. When Wang Yunxiao and the others reached the first floor, they saw Riley, leaning against the staircase wall, lost in thought. Xia was nowhere to be seen. Where's your wife? Huang Xianyao took 2 steps forward and whispered. She's gone, Riley smiled bitterly. Riley, tell me honestly, is that the zombie in the story you? Huang Xianyao asked seriously. Xianyao, are we still good friends? Riley's face froze, and he asked without answering. Of course, Huang Xianyao blurted out without hesitation. Thank you, Riley's smile returned. You'll be fine tonight. Leave early tomorrow morning, Riley said solemnly, then strode away without a backward glance. Did he admit it? Jin Hengzhong asked hesitantly. Don't worry, since he said he's fine tonight, let's just have a good night's sleep and leave tomorrow morning, Wang Yunxiao shrugged nonchalantly. You really are? Huang Xianyao was surprised, not knowing what to say about Wang Yunxiao's generosity. It was a zombie, wouldn't he be afraid? But how could Huang Xianyao know that he was facing another zombie, a zombie king? The next morning, just as the sky was getting light, Ma Xiaoling hurriedly dragged everyone out of the castle. Unexpectedly, as they exited the castle, they saw Xia approaching. Good morning, Ma Xiaoling stepped forward, staring at Xia expressionlessly. In this situation, she was the most appropriate person to intervene. After all, she was an expert in catching ghosts and zombies. Good morning, Xia said, hurriedly, clearly dazed, unsure of what she had just experienced. Now that you've said hello, are you going to arrest me? Xia forced herself to cheer up and asked with a self-deprecating smile. Why did you come back? Just to get revenge on Riley, Ma Xiaoling asked coldly. Of course, she couldn't act right then. Behind her, except for Jin Hengzhong, they were all ordinary people. Clearly, she was lumping Wang Yunxiao and the other two into the same category. If you were me, what would you do? Xia asked instead. I don't know, Ma Xiaoling replied bluntly, without even a second thought. She wouldn't waste her brain cells on such an impossible hypothesis. I only know that Riley's biggest mistake was forgetting that zombies shouldn't love. Perhaps he knew, and he just did it knowingly, Ma Xiaoling added. Ultimately, she was a soft-hearted woman, and to some extent, she sympathized with Xia's plight. But no matter how much sympathy she had, she couldn't just stand by and watch the zombies commit evil and do nothing. Wang Yunxiao raised an eyebrow, his words scornful. Saying zombies shouldn't love others is such a sweeping generalization. Wang Yunxiao believed that Riley's worst mistake was concealing his zombie identity. If Xia truly loved Riley, she wouldn't have cared about his zombie identity. Perhaps they would have even lived happily together as a zombie couple, and how could the subsequent events have happened? My friends and I are leaving now. Come after us if you dare. But I tell you, we'll meet again sooner or later. Seeing Xia's silence, Ma Xiaoling said this and was about to leave with the others. Wait, what would you do if you fell in love with a zombie? Unexpectedly, Xia stopped Ma Xiaoling and pressed her again. Impossible, Ma Xiaoling replied without hesitation. I mean, if, Xia emphasized, I would love you regardless of the consequences, because I was knowingly committing this crime. With these profound words, Ma Xiaoling left without looking back. What are you looking at? On the way back to the inn, Ma Xiaoling saw everyone's eyes flickering with inexplicable meaning, especially the several older men present. She knew exactly why, and felt incredibly embarrassed and angry. She also cursed herself internally, thinking she must have been crazy to have said something like that. Okay, stop looking at Xiaoling like that. I think she's right, too. As a good friend, Wang Yunxiao naturally had to step in to defend Ma Xiaoling. But she had forgotten that her behavior had been similar. Leave immediately after we get back, Ma Xiaoling glared at Wang Yunxiao, then straightened her expression and spoke sternly. Xiaoling, aren't you coming with us? Wang Yunxiao asked quickly, concerned. Have you forgotten what Zhang Zhong and I do? Ma Xiaoling retorted with amusement. Xiaoling, I don't think Mr. Riley is a bad guy. Wang Yunxiao wanted to persuade her again. Not only did she truly not think Riley was a bad person, but she also didn't want her friend to be in danger. Whether he's a bad guy or not, he could be a zombie, and I don't want anything to happen to you. Remember, keep heading south, the farther the better. I'll take care of things here. However, before Wang Yunxiao could finish her words, Ma Xiaoling interrupted her sternly. Hey, something's not right. As they spoke, everyone had already returned to the inn. Wang Yunxiao pointed to the police and peacocks gathered in front of the inn and warned them. They hurried closer and saw a row of corpses neatly laid out on the street in front of the inn, covered with white cloths. More importantly, each of these corpses had 2 bloody holes in their necks, left by sharp teeth. Today's 4th update is here. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 344, A Special Wedding. How could this happen? Wang Yunxiao gasped, immediately hiding in Huang Xianyao's arms. Was it Xia who did it? Ma Xiaoling asked Kong coldly. It was the female zombie in the castle who did it, Kong nodded. Ding ling ling, ding ling ling. At this moment, a crisp silver bell rang out, and everyone immediately became alert, because they all knew that Xia had a bell like this. Sure enough, the next moment, Xia suddenly appeared on the other side of the road not far away from them. The expression on her face was completely different from the absent-minded look before. She stared at them coldly with her gray-brown vertical pupils. You go first, Ma Xiaoling said in a low voice, and she also looked at Xia with a cold gaze. Be careful, Huang Xianyao whispered, and then he pulled Wang Yunxiao, who was about to say something, and Wang Yunxiao and the other 2 quickly walked towards the RV. Xiaoling, Zhang, be careful, Wang Yunxiao shouted to Ma Xiaoling as Huang Xianyao pulled her forward. Seeing Wang Yunxiao and the others leave, Xia also dove and vanished. This wasn't some kind of special ability, her speed was simply too fast for the naked eye to detect. Where are you going? Ma Xiaoling cried out, sprinting after them. Master, wait for me. Jin Zhang followed closely behind. Meanwhile, Wang Yunxiao and the others had already boarded the RV, not even bothering to return to the inn to collect their gifts. This wasn't surprising. With their lives nearly lost, how could they care about paying their respects? Of course, that was just Huang Xianyao and Wang Yunxiao's opinion. However, in the RV, everyone encountered someone they absolutely didn't expect, Riley. Where are you all in such a hurry to go? Today is Elf Festival, aren't you planning to stay and see it? Riley asked with his usual elegance and British gentlemanly demeanor. But for some reason, everyone felt something was amiss with him. What a shame, we have to leave due to an emergency. Wang Yunxiao stepped forward and replied with a smile. Huang Xianyao immediately protected Wang Yunxiao behind him. Really? Riley smiled non-committally, clearly not believing Wang Yunxiao's words at all. For a moment, the atmosphere in the car was mysteriously awkward. In fact, by now, they had understood each other very well. Mr. Riley, can you persuade Xia not to make the same mistake again? Wang Yunxiao suddenly poked her head out from behind Huang Xianyao and asked cautiously. No. If she's wrong, then I'm wrong. Riley's face changed and he said seriously. Xianyao, Mr. Wang, are we friends? Riley's face immediately returned to a smile, and he really could change his expression faster than turning the pages of a book. Of course, we are friends. Huang Xianyao's answer was still without any hesitation, and this was also his true thoughts. Although Wang Yunxiao didn't say anything, he also nodded with a smile. Then I'd like to invite everyone to my wedding with Shiai today. Today is Elf Day, and Shiai and I will be finishing the ceremony we left unfinished 50 years ago. Please do me the honor of attending. Riley beamed, extending a heartfelt invitation. Congratulations, Huang Xianyao congratulated them, his mind racing, trying to figure out how to escape. Sure, unexpectedly, Wang Yunxiao agreed without hesitation. Huang Xianyao and Wang Yunxiao looked at Wang Yunxiao in astonishment, puzzled by his willingness to agree so readily. These are zombies. Don't they know how to be afraid? Wang Yunxiao smiled and nodded gently, urging them to rest their worries. Unfortunately, how could they not be worried? Thank you. Riley ignored the trio's banter and smiled contentedly. Following Riley's warm invitation, the group arrived at a small chapel within the castle, becoming the only 5 guests at today's wedding. Why, as Riley left, unsure of where to go, Huang Xianyao finally swallowed his confusion and whispered. He's a zombie, and Miss Ma isn't here, so I think it's best if we cooperate, Wang Yunxiao replied with a smile. But, Huang Xianyao choked, feeling lost for words. Brother, is it really okay to be so cowardly? Don't you even try to escape? Huang Xianyao must be grumbling furiously. Not only Huang Xianyao, but even Ada Wang and Mary rolled their eyes, knowing Wang Yunxiao was being witty again. Meanwhile, Ma Xiaoling had easily dispatched Shi Yam. Unexpectedly, Kong accused Jin Hangzhong as a threat, forcing her to let Xia go. Finally, like her foolish apprentice, Jin Hangzhong, Kong knocked her unconscious. When the master and apprentice regained consciousness, they found themselves taken back to the inn by Kong and securely tied to chairs. Just as the master and disciple struggled to deal with the peacock and racked their brains for a way out, the wedding of Riley and Shiai began in the castle's chapel. Melodious wedding music played, and Riley and Shiai walked hand in hand down the aisle. There was no priest, and only 5 guests were in attendance. This wedding was truly unique. Or rather, there weren't just Wang Yunxiao and the other 3 guests, but also a host of special guests, floating and fluttering through the air. That's right, floating and fluttering. These special guests were all the wronged spirits of the townspeople who had perished at the wedding 50 years prior. Ah, Wang Yunxiao exclaimed, immediately burying her head in Huang Xianyao's shoulder. She had never seen anything like this before. In contrast, Ada Wang and Mary's behavior was somewhat unusual. Far from being frightened, they observed the spirits with fascination. Honestly, even with their vast experience, the chance to witness such a scene was rare, if not non-existent. Can you tell them not to fly around? Huang Xianyao said to Riley quickly. Snap! Riley snapped his fingers lightly, and the group of wronged souls stood obediently on both sides of the red carpet, quietly serving as guests watching the ceremony. Wang Yunxiao raised her head again, timidly looking at Riley and Shiai, without looking away, not daring to look at the wronged souls on both sides of the red carpet. Welcome everyone to this wedding that has lasted half a world, Mr. Huang, Mr. Wang, and the 3 ladies. You are the special guests of this wedding, so I have a humble request, Riley said sincerely, with a happy smile on his face. Of course, please tell me, Wang Yunxiao nodded with a smile. We all know each other so well, do whatever you want. Huang Xianyao's words were full of helplessness. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345 Shiai's Enlightenment. Xianyao, rest assured. As soon as the wedding is over, Shiai and I will leave here and notify Miss Ma to come and rescue you, Riley promised earnestly. You've killed so many people. Xiaoling will definitely not let you go. Wang Yunxiao shook her head. Deep down, she didn't want to see anything happen to Riley and Shiai, But the mistake they had made was inevitable. When Shia returns to me, I'll have no regrets. If Miss Ma wants to kill me, I won't resist. But before that, I must fulfill my husbandly duty and protect Shia. But don't worry, I can promise you that we will never kill anyone again. Riley acted calmly. Shia didn't object, her face filled with happiness and sweetness. Xian'ao, Mr. Wang, can you bless us? Riley then made a sincere request. You know what? I'm a police officer in Hong Kong. No matter the criminal's motives, as a law-abiding officer, I must bring him to justice, even if he's a zombie. Now that I know you've killed so many people, and now you ask me to bless you, what can I say? Kwang Xian'ao began his pretentious rant. Riley and Shia didn't do anything drastic, but disappointment was inevitable. Xian'ao, not only them, but even Wang Yunxiao couldn't bear to watch. Of course, as a friend, I'm truly happy to see you realize your 50-year-old and fulfilled wish and truly be together. I hope you'll cherish every moment of this angel's tears after the groom places them on the bride. I sincerely wish you both everlasting happiness. Kwang Xian'ao then changed the subject, rambling on for a while before finally offering his blessing. Bless you. Wang Yunxiao's turn came with a crisp, equally sincere blessing. Bless you too. The three women followed suit, offering their blessings, equally sincere and concise. Shia and I sincerely thank you all. Riley's face was filled with gratitude, and he pulled Shia along as they all bowed to the crowd. Riley and Shia gazed at each other lovingly. They had both waited so long for this moment. Riley took out the angel's tears and gently placed them on Shia. The two embraced and kissed passionately. Ding, ling, a melodious chime rang out, as if celebrating the newlyweds. Pa pa pa, Wang Yunxiao and the other four, along with a group of ghosts, all applauded and congratulated. The wedding concluded successfully. Riley and Shia, hand in hand, left the chapel. The ghosts dispersed, leaving only Wang Yunxiao and the other four. When can we leave? Wang Yunxiao asked worriedly, as they exchanged glances. I trust Riley. But Shia seems to have a problem. Kwang Xian'ao also expressed his concerns. In that case, let's get out of here as soon as possible. Wang Yunxiao, not wanting to miss the drama that was about to unfold outside, stood up and headed for the door. Is it really okay to just leave like this? Kwang Xian'ao was genuinely confused by Wang Yunxiao's stark contrast. Don't worry, it's okay. After leaving here, take Yunxiao back to the RV as soon as possible and get away from town. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, thinking for a moment before offering a warning. Speaking of which, after their brief time together, Wang Yunxiao had found Kwang Xian'ao quite a nice person, and it felt a bit of a shame to let him die like this. But there was a problem. If Kwang Xian'ao survived, Kwang Guahua, who was hiding in the shadows, wouldn't be able to come to the fore, completely disrupting the original plot. So, after this warning, Wang Yunxiao decided to stand aside and watch. Whether he survived would depend entirely on his luck. What about you guys? Aren't you coming with us? Wang Yunxiao couldn't help but ask. Don't worry, we have some means of self-preservation. It'll be fine. Just take care of yourselves, Wang Yunxiao said with a smile. To reinforce his words, he waved his hand, twisting the copper lock, and the door swung open. For a moment, Kwang Xian'ao and Wang Yunxiao were both stunned. They couldn't believe Wang Yunxiao was such a hidden master. Alright, stop daydreaming and get going, Wang Yunxiao warned, letting out a laugh. Meanwhile, she tossed the RV keys to Kwang Xian'ao. Okay, we'll be leaving first. Be careful. Kwang Xian'ao grabbed the keys, pulled Wang Yunxiao along, and hurried out. Now was not the time to dwell on Wang Yunxiao's identity. Let's go too. It's almost time for the show to start over there. Watching the two quickly disappear, Wang Yunxiao could only offer a heartfelt blessing, then smiled back at Ada Wang and Mary. Is Yunxiao safe? Ada Wang asked, her voice slightly concerned. She seemed to really like Wang Yunxiao's personality. This was the second time she had shown such concern for her. Good fortune will come to those who are lucky. We can't protect her forever, can we? Wang Yunxiao said nonchalantly, clearly unimpressed by Wang Yunxiao. You? Ada Wang glared at Wang Yunxiao in disapproval, but she didn't force her. Normally, she wouldn't go against Wang Yunxiao's wishes. As for Mary, she wasn't particularly fond of Wang Yunxiao's personality, so naturally, she had no objections. Instead, she admired Ma Xiaoling's genuine nature, especially her words to Shi Yan, because I did it knowingly. When Wang Yunxiao, Ada Wang, and Mary arrived outside the castle, Ma Ziyerling and Jin Hengzhong, the master and apprentice, were already engaged in a fierce battle with Shi Yan, but Riley was nowhere to be seen. It turned out that Shi Yan had returned to seek revenge against Riley, but before the wedding, she had stumbled upon Riley's maid zombie and learned some of the secrets from the past. According to the maid zombie, Shi Yan had found the castle's underground chamber. Seeing the scratch marks on the walls, she truly regretted not giving Riley a chance to explain. Otherwise, she wouldn't have resented him for 50 years. It turns out that this secret room was built by Riley himself to suppress his blood addiction. He locked himself there before their wedding 50 years ago, enduring inhuman pain and torture. Shia, realizing all this, decided to shoulder all the blame, not wanting to involve Riley. So, after the wedding, she locked him in the castle's underground chamber, just as she had done before the ceremony 50 years ago. It's fair to say that Ma Ziyerling's strength at this stage was quite average, unable to directly defeat Shi Yan, a fourth-generation zombie. And what about Jin Hengzhong? Well, he's even more of a burden, and it's already quite difficult for Ma Ziyerling to avoid causing trouble. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 346 Guangguahu appears. Even with their combined strength, the master-disciple duo of Ma Ziyerling and Jin Hengzhong couldn't capture Shi Yan in a short period of time. It was only with the help of Hancock, now dressed in his monk's robes, that Ma Ziyerling finally managed to capture Shi Yan. This, however, completely enraged Riley, driving him to rage. Facing the enraged Riley, they were completely at a disadvantage from the very beginning. Yet, for some reason, Riley showed no interest in engaging the three. After temporarily repelling them, he quickly departed. What's he planning? Mary asked, puzzled, in a distant dimension. Shouldn't Riley have killed Ma Ziyerling at all costs to avenge Shiak? Who knows? The thoughts of a madman are always hard to predict. Wang Yunxiao shrugged nonchalantly. But in reality, he knew exactly what Riley was up to. Since we want to know what he's up to, let's follow him and see, Wang Yunxiao added with interest. The two women naturally had no objections. However, Wang Yunxiao hadn't anticipated that their brief delay would only lead to the story returning to square one, albeit in a different location. It was fate, one could only say. On the road leading out of Elf Town, Wang Yunxiao's rented RV was parked sideways. Guang Xianyao and Wang Zhenzhen, who were supposed to be driving it away, were both lying on the grass beside the road. Not far from them, Ma Ziyerling and Hancock were teaming up to fight Riley off. Hancock immediately chased after Riley, but Ma Ziyerling, as if sensing something, looked visibly amiss and didn't immediately join Hancock in pursuit. Xianyao, are you okay? Ma Ziyerling quickly ran towards Guang Xianyao, asking with concern. At this moment, she wasn't concerned about her best friend first, but rather her boyfriend. Anyone who said she and Guang Xianyao didn't have a connection would be a fool to believe. Witchling, don't come over here. I'm fine, I just got punched, how could I be in trouble? Stop talking so much and go to your thing. I'll rest for a while, then I'll help you. Guang Xianyao reluctantly sat up and said nonchalantly. Then be careful. And take good care of Zhenzhen. Ma Ziyerling then remembered her best friend. Don't worry, Guang Xianyao forced a smile and nodded. Hey, take care. Seeing Ma Ziyerling about to leave, Guang Xianyao subconsciously called her back. After a long silence, he finally uttered these two words with deep meaning. You underestimate my abilities. Unfortunately, Ma Ziyerling didn't notice anything. Seeing that Guang Xianyao and Wang Zhenzhen were both fine, her heart was replaced by the desire to conquer Riley. She smiled brightly and strode away. Oh, what a slow-witted woman. In the other dimension not far away, Mary couldn't help but sigh. With their keen eyesight, it was clear that Wang Zhenzhen was indeed fine, but Guang Xianyao condition was dire. Huh? What's this? The next moment, Ada Wang and Mary cried out in unison. As Ma Ziyerling left, Guang Xianyao immediately spit out blood, his eyes rolled back, and he was completely lifeless. But this wasn't the reason for the two women's surprise. The real surprise was the appearance of a man who looked almost identical to Guang Xianyao. Needless to say, this man was Guang Xianyao grandfather, the one who had always lurked in the shadows, Guangguahu, who had been turned into a zombie by the zombie king Zhang Chen over 50 years ago. Seeing his only remaining relative die before his eyes, Guangguahu was furious, baring his sharp zombie fangs. His eyes transformed into emerald green pupils, and he vanished in an instant. Before the castle, Wang Yunxiao, leveraging his zombie-like keen senses, found Riley before Ma Xiaoling, Jin's Hangzhong, and Kong both were filled with hatred and in a frenzy of fury. A life-or-death battle was inevitable. Although both were zombies, Wang Yunxiao was a second-generation zombie, a full level higher than Riley. However, he never drank human blood, resulting in a malnourished zombie. While his strength was somewhat stronger than Riley's, it was still very limited. Therefore, while Wang Yunxiao had some initiative, the fight with Riley was still back and forth, unable to pose a real threat to him. Fortunately, Ma Xiaoling, Jin's Hangzhong, and Kong arrived shortly thereafter and seized the opportunity to subdue Riley. After the trio arrived, Wang Yunxiao, though reluctant, was forced to retreat to avoid revealing his identity. Consequently, the three remained unaware of him. Are they zombies too? How can they be so weak? Mary, witnessing the series of battles in the other dimension, simply curled her lips in disdain. However, it was no wonder she felt this way. She had personally experienced Wang Yunxiao's power. There seems to be something amiss with that new zombie. Ada Wang frowned slightly, vaguely sensing something. It's a zombie that's never fed on human blood. So, what can you expect from a malnourished zombie, a third-generation zombie who only knows how to escape? Wang Yunxiao shrugged, his words emphasizing the truth. But don't underestimate him. With such perseverance, his future achievements are bound to be limitless. After a moment's thought, Wang Yunxiao added solemnly. That makes sense. The two women nodded in agreement. Perseverance is a quality essential to the strong. Zhenzhen. How is Zhenzhen? At the same time, Wang Yunxiao, already carrying the still unconscious Wang Zhenzhen, strode over. Ma Xiaoling, Jin's Hangzhong, and Kong hurried over to greet him. It turned out that Wang Yunxiao, having retired after his mission accomplished, had not simply left. After quickly disposing of Wang Xiao's body, he brought the unconscious Wang Zhenzhen over. He had always been keeping an eye on Wang Xiao, and naturally knew that Wang Zhenzhen was not only a kind-hearted girl, but also one who loved his grandson wholeheartedly. She's fine, she was just knocked unconscious. She'll be fine once she wakes up, Wang Yunxiao explained softly. That's good. What about you? How are you? The three of them breathed a sigh of relief, and Ma Xiaoling asked Wang Yunxiao with concern. I'm fine too. Wang Yunxiao shook his head slightly, his expression slightly uneasy. Huh? Xiao, why did you suddenly change your clothes? Jin's Hangzhong suddenly asked in surprise. Ah, the previous one is broken. Wang Yunxiao was slightly startled at first, then replied as if nothing had happened. Everyone, be careful. He's resurrected. Jin's Hangzhong wanted to ask something else, but was interrupted by Peacock's low shout. Several people hurriedly looked up and saw that Riley actually stood up unsteadily. Thanks to the library elf, Crazy Monk, and book friend 20200310145741550 for the guaranteed monthly ticket. Today's 4 updates are here. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 347 and/or Rebirth. Under the astonished gazes of Wang Yunxiao, Ma Xiaoling, and the others, Riley unsteadily stood up. Had he actually come back to life? Perhaps zombies possessed immense vitality, but they certainly couldn't achieve this degree. Especially since Riley was only a third-generation zombie. He was still able to stand because of his unwavering determination. Even if he died, he wanted to die with Shi Yam. Just then, a plump elf flew over. It was truly chubby. It was hard to believe how its tiny wings could propel such a sizable body. Benny, do you know where she is? Riley asked softly, as if he knew the elf. The elf babbled a few times before taking flight in a certain direction. Shi Yang. Riley's eyes sparkled with hope, and he stumbled after the elf, heading towards the elf forest. Follow. Ma Xiaoling didn't immediately intervene, but she wasn't about to leave Riley alone. With a low shout, she quickly followed. Wang Yunxiao and the others naturally followed closely behind. Can you understand what that little creature is saying? Wang Yunxiao asked the two women beside him helplessly in the other dimension. Well, he had to admit, he wasn't a pure-hearted person, and couldn't understand the elves' language like the zombie king, Zheng Chen. It says that elves will be born soon, Ada Wang answered, suppressing a smile. Let's go and take a look too. How? Mara gave Wang Yunxiao a half smile, then pulled Ada Wang along and followed. Seeing that the two women seemed to understand the elven language made Wang Yunxiao even more frustrated. The sun set, and the sky had already darkened completely. They followed Riley, or rather, the elf named Benny, deep into the elven forest. From a distance, they could see Shiai's body lying peacefully on the grass and among the flowers. Riley hurriedly quickened his pace, stumbling into a sitting position beside Shiai's body. He slowly reached out a hand and gently stroked Shiai's cold face. Seeing this, everyone instinctively stopped, unwilling to disturb Riley and Shiai. Suddenly, tiny twinkling lights shimmered through the forest, accompanied by the clear chirping of elves. One elf after another appeared, fluttering around Riley and Shiai. The chubby elf, Benny, gently touched Shiai's body, and it was instantly enveloped in a golden light. A new elf was born. Shiai, I can't be with you anymore. I hope you can find happiness. Riley raised his hand to support the newborn elf, whispering softly. The new elf flew to Riley's ear and whispered something softly. Me too. I'll love you forever, Riley replied softly, his expression filled with tenderness, happiness, and sweetness. Goodbye. With Riley's final farewell, he transformed into a dazzling golden light, completely dissipating between heaven and earth. Everyone fell silent, even Wang Yunxiao and the other two in the alternate dimension. Master, here are our wages, but there's always someone to spoil the mood. Jin's Hangzhong quickly ran to where Yuan Shiai's body lay, picked up the only remaining angel's tear, and handed it to Ma Xiaoling. This can be considered a good ending and a bad ending, Ma Xiaoling said thoughtfully, fiddling with the angel's tear in her hand, as if she had made a decision. Are we leaving too? Ada Wang asked softly, seeing Kwang Guahua, Ma Xiaoling, and the others setting up a simple shelter for Riley and Shiai and then leaving. No hurry, we still have to wait for someone here. Wang Yunxiao replied with a smile. Who? Mary asked curiously. Remember that friend Riley mentioned who comes every year around this time? I suspect he's very likely Jiang Chen, Wang Yunxiao offered a somewhat convincing reason. Whatever. But we're not staying here tonight, are we? Mary shrugged nonchalantly, then frowned. No way. We don't know when he'll arrive. Wang Yunxiao spread his hands, looking like he was having a headache too. Besides, there's nothing wrong here. With the sky as our bed and the ground as our bed, we really haven't lost anything, right? Hey, then, Wang Yunxiao smirked mischievously. You bastard, don't even think about it. Ugh, Mary glared at Wang Yunxiao, about to refuse, but Wang Yunxiao shut her mouth up. Then, with a startled cry, Ada Wang was pulled into Wang Yunxiao's arms. With the sky as your blanket and the ground as your bed, the feeling was truly indescribable. The next morning, Jiang Chen didn't wait for Ma Xiaoling, but instead, she did. She was playing with angel's tears and pacing back and forth in front of Riley and Shiai's graves, a look of confusion on her face. I guess Ma Xiaoling, just don't have that kind of luck. Finally, Ma Xiaoling sighed softly, squatted down, and buried the angel's tears in front of the two people's grave. So, this was what she had been agonizing over? It was understandable, though. She had always been known for her greed for money, so it was no small feat to achieve this level. What are you doing here? As Ma Xiaoling reluctantly stood up, she discovered that Kwang Guahu had also arrived. Of course, she simply assumed that the person standing before her was still Kwang Xianyao. I'm telling you, I'm only doing this to prevent their ghosts from following me. Seeing that Kwang Guahu didn't answer her, but only looked at her strangely, Ma Xiaoling felt a little embarrassed and annoyed. She made up an excuse and tried to leave. Is your last name Ma? Kwang Guahu suddenly asked. Is this your first day meeting me? Ma Xiaoling thought Kwang Guahu was deliberately teasing her, and she became even more embarrassed and annoyed, asking back in a sullen tone. They will be very grateful to you if you do this. Kwang Guahu also knew that his previous question was too abrupt, and he quickly made amends. What's it to you, huh? Ma Xiaoling snorted, and strode away without looking back. Kwang Guahu stared at another simple cemetery not far away for a long time before leaving with a sense of loss. And on the tombstone made of a cross made of a tree trunk, there was engraved a name that Ma Xiaoling and others could never imagine, Kwang Xianyao. Next, the two returned to the small hotel, and together with Wang Zhansun and Jin's Hangzhong, they took a bus and left this elf town that left a deep impression on them. And what about Kwang Guahu? He was also very sad to be mistaken for his grandson Kwang Xianyao by everyone, and it would be difficult for him to get rid of this embarrassing identity in the short term. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. Chapter 348 Meeting the Generals Again. Jiang Chen didn't keep Wang Yunxiao waiting. That afternoon, the elf forest welcomed this old friend who visited every year at this time. Jiang Chen was worthy of being a familiar friend of the elf forest. As soon as he entered, the chubby elf, Benny, and two other equally chubby elves flew to his side, babbling in his ear. Really? Riley and Shia can finally have their wedding. I'm so happy for them, Jiang Chen replied to the three elves with a warm smile. To die on the same day, month, and year is also a kind of happiness. Maybe next year, I'll come to listen to your stories again, if this world still exists. Then, thinking of Nuwa's imminent return, Jiang Chen sighed. As he spoke, Jiang Chen, led by the three elves, had already arrived at the graves of Riley, Shia, and Kwang Xianyao. Who? Come out, but Jiang Chen's gaze wasn't fixed on the three graves. Instead, he stared blankly at something nearby. Long time no see, Jiang Chen. Wang Yunxiao withdrew from the alternate dimension and reappeared alongside Ada Wang, Mary, and the other women in the spot Jiang Chen had sighted. You? It's been a long time, Wang Yunxiao. Seeing that it was Wang Yunxiao hiding in the shadows, Jiang Chen's warm smile returned. Looks like you've succeeded after all. Congratulations. Glancing Wang Yunxiao over again, Jiang Chen offered heartfelt congratulations. As the ancestor of zombies, he could clearly see that Wang Yunxiao had ascended to become the zombie king. Thank you. It's all thanks to your help. Wang Yunxiao's gratitude to Jiang Chen was genuine. If it weren't for the drop of blood Jiang Chen had gifted him, he wouldn't have been able to break free from his bloodline and ascend to become the zombie king. Regardless of whether the two would end up on opposite sides, he would always consider Jiang Chen a friend. It was just a deal. Why are you here? Jiang Chen waved his hand nonchalantly, then asked curiously. Of course, I'm waiting for you. I heard from Riley that a friend comes here every day at this time to listen to the elf stories. Come to think of it, you're probably the only one like him, Wang Yunxiao replied with a calm smile. Oh? Just to wait for me? It seems you've come back this time for the lady beside you. Jiang Chen looked at Ada Wang thoughtfully. Ada Wang's zombie identity couldn't be hidden from him. Yes, but I think you misunderstood. I'm waiting here not for your help, but to catch up with an old friend. I've already met Ma Dingdan before coming here. Although Wang Yunxiao didn't deny it, he could see that Jiang Chen had misunderstood and couldn't help but laugh. How could Wang Yunxiao not know how important blood essence is to the zombie king? Putting aside other things, the impact on strength alone is undoubtedly enormous. How could Jiang Chen not be on guard? Especially at this critical moment when Nuwa is about to return. Is that so? Hearing the name Ma Dingdan, Jiang Chen was momentarily stunned, but he didn't completely believe Wang Yunxiao's words. Jiang Chen was no longer the same man who had just emerged from his slumber, his mind as pure as a blank slate, having witnessed the treacherous schemes of humans. He had to be extra cautious and vigilant towards Wang Yunxiao, who was now on his level. Why? You don't believe me? Honestly, without his current condition, even you wouldn't be able to help her. Oh, and I haven't introduced them yet. They're my wives, Ada Wang and Mary. Wang Yunxiao, sensing Jiang Chen's distrust, spoke frankly. He also gave Ada Wang a wink. Ada Wang, in tune with Wang Yunxiao's thoughts, immediately manifested her zombie form, sharp zombie fangs, amber yellow pupils, especially, within those yellow pupils, a faint tinge of purple. Mutation, Jiang Chen's pupils narrowed slightly. He naturally knew what the purple glint in Ada Wang's eyes signified. Interesting. She doesn't have Pangu bloodline, nor is she from the Ma family, yet she's mutated. Truly rare. After a brief moment of surprise, Jiang Chen was left with only intrigue. Unfortunately, he knew Wang Yunxiao wouldn't let him research Ada Wang's specific circumstances. You'll finally believe it now, right? Wang Yunxiao shrugged, half smiled. The Pangu have long since withdrawn from the world, not seen in the world for millions of years. Finding them will be difficult. Jiang Chen understood Wang Yunxiao's thoughts, yet he wasn't entirely optimistic. Nuwa's destruction is imminent. I believe they won't sit idly by, Wang Yunxiao said confidently. It seems Dingdang has told you a lot. Jiang Chen's pupils narrowed again, and after a long pause, he sighed. Yes, she even asked for my help to prevent this catastrophe, Wang Yunxiao said with a calm smile. So, will you help her? Jiang Chen asked with a smile, his expression unchanged. Let's not talk about me for now. What about you? Zhang Chen, do you want to see this catastrophe happen? Wang Yunxiao shook his head slightly, asking instead of answering. Of course I don't, but I can't just stand by and watch someone dare to harm Nuwa. A fierce glint flashed in Zhang Chen's eyes. He loved this world, it's true, but he loved Nuwa even more. For Nuwa, he would be the enemy of the entire world. That's such a pity. Wang Yunxiao sighed with regret. If he could, he really didn't want to be on the opposite side of Zhang Chen. That's right. Wang Yunxiao couldn't just sit back and watch Nuwa destroy the world. This wasn't just because of Ada Wang's request, but more importantly, if the world ended here, what would the subsequent plot of my date with a vampire the Eternal Kingdom look like? After all, whether it was the human King Fuxi or the Holy Mother of Yaoqi, they were both his targets. If he could, he wouldn't even let fate go. Perhaps, according to the original plot, even without Wang Yunxiao, Huang Xianyao and Ma Xiaoling could have resolved this catastrophe. But now, with him as the biggest variable, no one knows if things will unfold as planned. This is also why Wang Yunxiao didn't rescue Huang Xianyao, so as to minimize any disruption to the original plot. But don't forget, Wang Yunxiao is still plotting against the Pengu clan's envoy Mingri, which will inevitably impact the original plot. Furthermore, there's another fate lurking in the shadows. Although Wang Yunxiao doesn't really care about him right now, especially with Mary as his rightful supporter, he still has to be wary of his hidden agenda. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 349 Contradictory Generals and Ministers. What a pity, you're my first friend since entering the human world, Zhang Chen said with a touch of regret, reflecting his truest thoughts. Although Wang Yunxiao only sighed softly, not stating his choice, Zhang Chen could not fail to discern the deeper meaning behind his sigh. But Zhang Chen was still Zhang Chen. Despite possessing incredibly deep and sincere emotions, he was also the most rational and ruthless, always making choices that best served his own interests. For a moment, the atmosphere between the two grew heavy and oppressive, rising ever higher, like a constantly stretched rubber band poised to snap at any moment. Seeing this, Ada Wang and Mary were on guard. Mary, in particular, saw a fiery fighting spirit in her eyes. Then, see you next time, my friend, Zhang Chen smiled suddenly, like spring returning to the earth, sweeping away all the heaviness and oppression. He cast another deep glance at the three of them, then strode away without a backward glance. Goodbye, my friend, Wang Yunxiao retracted his aura, smiling as he watched Zhang Chen retreat. You still have 1 year. If you can, come and try to stop me. Even after Zhang Chen's figure completely vanished, these cryptic words still echoed in the air. He's very strong, Mary said solemnly. Yes. Even zombie kings have distinct strengths and weaknesses, Wang Yunxiao sighed softly, his slight pride after ascending to zombie king completely shattered. Yes, having successfully ascended to zombie king, possessing the power of a godfather, Wang Yunxiao was confident he could even challenge the supreme sorcerer Ancient One, who once intimidated him. Even with his temperament, pride was inevitable. But just now, Wang Yunxiao had clearly sensed that if a fight really came to a head, his chances of victory were less than 30%. Even with Mary's help, the chances would barely reach 50%. How could he still be so proud? What did he mean by that last sentence? Ada Wang asked worriedly. It's simple, literally. He hopes we can actually stop him. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, offering a perfectly ordinary answer, yet one that left the two women incredibly amazed. At that moment, Wang Yunxiao had calmed his inner frustration and restlessness. It was precisely because of the formidable figure of Zhang Chen that he felt a surge of determination to catch up, to surpass him. Furthermore, Wang Yunxiao wasn't overly surprised by Zhang Chen's strength. In his view, Zhang Chen was the most powerful being in the entire My Date with a Vampire universe. Even the future human King Fuxi and the Jade Pool Mother would be no match for him. Perhaps only fate, or perhaps the true power of the Pangu clan, the Creator clan, could truly pose a mortal threat to him? Why? Ada Wang asked, puzzled. Even Mary stared at Wang Yunxiao, unblinking, awaiting his answer. Zhang Chen is a deeply conflicted man. He possesses the most sincere feelings in the world, yet he's also the most rational and ruthless. He loves this world, but he loves Nuwa even more. So, if Nuwa wants to destroy it, he'll stand firmly by her side, yet he also hopes someone can stop him. Wang Yunxiao didn't disappoint the two women, beginning with Zhang Chen's personality and explaining the reasons behind it in detail. Well, he's truly a terrifying guy. Mary spread her hands, pondering for a long moment, unsure how to describe her current feelings. She could only simply describe Zhang Chen as terrifying, her expression becoming quite striking. Yes, he's truly a terrifying guy. What should we do next? Ada Wang nodded in agreement, her voice slightly heavy. This wasn't surprising. Anyone facing such a powerful, rational, and ruthless enemy would react in this way. Isn't there still a year left? No rush? Now is far from the time to engage in direct battle with Zhang Chen. Why not take advantage of this time and go on a hearty world tour? Wang Yunxiao impulsively offered an answer the two women couldn't have anticipated. Ever since crossing into the Marvel Universe, Wang Yunxiao had been constantly planning and scrambling for the future, always dreaming of taking the women along for a hearty trip, but he always found himself getting in the way. And wasn't this a perfect opportunity? While the women weren't all by his side, there was nothing he could do. He could make it up to them later. You really are, it's so late, and you still have the time to think about fun. Ada Wang glared at Wang Yunxiao, but even so, Wang Yunxiao couldn't fail to see that she was clearly tempted. Okay, Mary, on the other hand, readily agreed. It's settled. Let's go, huh? Wang Yunxiao laughed heartily, took the two women's hands, and strode out of the elven forest. Thus began the trio's globe-trotting journey, from England to North America, then on to Europe, before finally returning to the ancient Eastern Kingdom that haunted him. Just as Wang Yunxiao and the others embarked on this impromptu journey, Kwang Guahu and Ma Xiaoling returned to Hong Kong Island. With the persuasion of Kwang Fushan, his fellow zombie and his lifelong companion, Kwang Guahu finally made up his mind and began living as Kwang Xianyao. He moved into Jiajia Mansion and inherited everything from his grandson. The only problem was facing Wang Zhenzhen, his girlfriend, forcing Kwang Xianyao to unsure how to deal with her. However, before Kwang Xianyao could fully grasp the situation, he was shocked to discover that his grandson also had a past with Ma Xiaoling. Aside from these two puzzling details, Kwang Xianyao quickly came to terms with everything else. Life in Jiajia Mansion was undoubtedly vibrant and colorful. First, Ma Xiaoling discovers the unlucky ghost Adam in Jiajia building. He brings bad luck to anyone who comes into contact with him. For example, the security guard, Uncle Gu, is haunted by Adam. He usually buys a Mark 6 lottery number every draw, but this time, he skips it, missing out on the chance to win the 30 million NT dollar sign jackpot and become a multimillionaire. Although Ma Xiaoling manages to knock Adam out of Uncle Gu's body, he accidentally escapes. So, while Ma Xiaoling warns everyone to be careful, she has Jin Hongzhong spray the hallways with repellent water to drive Adam out of Jiajia building. However, Adam stumbles into Ruan Mengmeng's home. Ruan Mengmeng, being kind-hearted, can't bear to drive Adam away, so she takes him in. From then on, Ruan Mengmeng's life of bad luck begins, until. Please bookmark, recommend, and vote. Chapter 350 The Unlucky Ghost and Ruan Mengmeng. Ruan Mengmeng, a longtime resident of Jiajia Mansion, is a filial, kind, and simple-minded girl, even a bit foolish. To ensure her mother, who suffers from Alzheimer's, can see her on television, Ruan Mengmeng decides to enter the new season of the Miss Bohemia beauty pageant. However, after submitting her application and returning to Jiajia Mansion, Ruan Mengmeng stumbles upon the body of a woman kneeling on a street corner. Well, Dum's bad luck has begun to take effect. As expected, Ruan Mengmeng, the first to discover the body, is taken to the police station. Unable to find Kwang Xianyao, Ruan Mengmeng asks Ma Xiaoling and Wang Zhenzhen to bail her out. During this time, Ma Xiaoling discovers something suspicious about the body. It's completely drained of blood, and there are 2 tooth holes in the neck. Suspecting it was the work of a zombie, she suggests to Kwang Xianyao immediate superior, Liu Hai, that she help. However, Liu Hai takes the matter for granted. Elsewhere, Sita Fenren, the program director of the Miss Bohemia beauty pageant, was sorting through the application forms. When he saw Ruan Mengmeng's, he was furious. He cursed the Filipino maid for participating in the pageant and called in the program's producers, scolding them and throwing the application in their faces. Later, while collecting the application forms, an assistant mistakenly placed Ruan Mengmeng's application on the list of candidates to be notified for interviews. But don't think this was good luck for Ruan Mengmeng. On the contrary, it was the beginning of her misfortune. Ruan Mengmeng was overjoyed to receive the notification of her selection. However, the subsequent interview went terribly wrong. If it weren't for Quang Fusheng's intervention, transforming her into a stunning beauty, she would have been eliminated without even needing a proper interview. However, Ruan Mengmeng did gain something from the interview process, as she made a new friend named Jin Wulei, with whom she instantly hit it off. Meanwhile, Shizuka D'Amato, the Miss Bohemia beauty pageant sponsor and the show's chief judge, also became interested in Jin Wulei. Shizuka D'Amato, ostensibly a renowned Japanese tycoon, was secretly a psychopath. Having once witnessed Kwang Guahua's zombie form at the home of his maternal grandfather, Kazuo Yamamoto, who later committed seppuku, freeing him from his harsh discipline, Shizuka D'Amato began to view Kwang Guahua as a divine messenger sent from heaven to save him. He even considered himself one of these messengers, a zombie. To this end, Shizuka D'Amato even forged zombie dentures and mistook women who had survived a catastrophe for zombies. He would court them, then bite them and bleed them to death, creating the illusion of zombie deaths, a self-deception. Within a few months, numerous young women on Hong Kong Island had perished at Shizuka D'Amato's hands. Unfortunately, Kim Miri, who had also survived a catastrophe, became Shizuka D'Amato's next target. However, Liu Hai's skepticism towards ghosts and spirits led the police to dismiss the incident as a serial murder case. During this time, Kwang Xian'ao tracked down the fugitive D'Amato Shizuka, but was intercepted by two suddenly appearing zombies, Su Fu and Crow. These two zombies were second-generation zombies, and as a malnourished zombie, he was unsurprisingly defeated and lost D'Amato Shizuka. Just as D'Amato Shizuka was about to find Jin Wulei, she was caught by Ruan Mengmen. Furious, D'Amato Shizuka revealed his zombie dentures and attacked Ruan Mengmen. However, the attack was witnessed by Ma Zia Erling and Wang Zhenzhen, who saw Ruan Mengmen wearing the Zhuangguang gemstone necklace. Due to the angle, the two women initially thought it was Kwang Xian'ao who had been attacked, but after a phone call, they learned that it was Ruan Mengmen who had been attacked. The three of them rushed to the scene to rescue Ruan Mengmen. Speaking of that mysterious gemstone necklace, Wang Zhenzhen had originally requested it from Ma Zia Erling after noticing some strange behavior from Kwang Xian'ao. She had intended to keep an eye on him, but Kwang Xian'ao instead gave it to Ruan Mengmen. Well, it must be said, women's intuition is sometimes quite accurate. They spotted so many oddities about Kwang Xian'ao so quickly. Isn't that strange? The Kwang Xian'ao of today is no longer the same Kwang Xian'ao as before. He's now Kwang Guahua. When Kwang Xian'ao, Ma Zia Erling, and Wang Zhenzhen arrived at the scene, Ruan Mengmeng was already dead, kneeling on the roof of a car, her body drained of blood, with two tooth holes visible in her neck. Meanwhile, Ruan Mengmeng's ghost, unaware of her death, returned home as usual, only to be met by Kwang Xian'ao and his companions, along with Jin Hangzhong, who had met her along the way. It was this unstoppable figure who, with a single blow, revealed Ruan Mengmeng's death, frightening her into evaporating. To summon Ruan Mengmeng's soul and prevent him from becoming a wandering ghost, Ma Zia Erling was forced to enlist Ruan Mengmeng's mother in a ritual. While successful, Ruan Mengmeng's 3 souls and 7 spirits were dispersed, leaving Ma Zia Erling to seek help from He Yingqiu. The Northern Ma refers to the Ma clan, the exorcist dragon clan, while He Yingqiu is the direct descendant of the southern Ma Mao Ziafang. While He Yingqiu was working to summon Ruan Mengmeng's 3 souls and 7 spirits, Kwang Xian'ao and Ma Zia Erling examined Ruan Mengmeng's body. The truth was, Ruan Mengmeng wasn't killed by a zombie, but by someone impersonating a zombie. During the subsequent investigation, Kwang Xian'ao and Ma Zia Erling simultaneously discovered that the killer's next target was Jin Wulei, and they both rushed to the Miss Bohemia beauty pageant. To lure the killer out, Kwang Xian'ao, with the help of Kwang Fusheng, took on the appearance of Jin Wulei. In the end, the murderer was never apprehended, leading to a flurry of jokes and the subsequent discovery of He Yingqiu and Ma Zia Erling. Meanwhile, the unlucky ghost Adam and his group of ghosts wreaked havoc at the beauty pageant, sending the audience and judges fleeing in panic. However, their attempt to force the host to announce Ruan Mengmeng as the winner resulted in the resurrection of her spirits. Ruan Mengmeng then revealed D'Amato Shizuka as the murderer, prompting her to flee in panic. She stumbled upon the unconscious Jin Wulei and seized her opportunity to capture her. Kwang Xian'ao attempted to pursue D'Amato Shizuka, but was stopped by Ma Zia Erling and He Yingqiu, who revealed him to be Kwang Guahua and a zombie. As Wang Yunxiao freed himself from Ma Zierling and He Yingqiu, he witnessed Ruan Mengmeng's mother being knocked to the ground by Damato Shizuka. Despite his superhuman speed, Wang Yunxiao rushed her to the hospital, but was unable to save her. I can only say that Adam's bad luck is too strong. Not only did Ruan Mengmeng die tragically, but even her mother was not much better off. Thanks to the crazy monk for the guaranteed monthly ticket. Today's fourth update has been presented. Please collect, recommend, and vote for me. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.